What's up, and welcome to number 102 of the Scoped Podcast. Chugging along, I am your host, Jackson Heaton. Thank you so much for being here and checking out 7 Year Witch. I loved these guys. They were just so phenomenal to talk to. They were just the nicest, the sweetest. Some of the sweetest people I've ever had the pleasure of talking to, and man, was it an incredible conversation. They did break the record for longest episode on the podcast. I'm sorry to comedian Kyle Porter. I'm sure I will be getting messages from him wanting to come on and reclaim his spot as the longest episode. But I really hope you listen to this entire thing, a little over 2 hours of just pure gold with 7 Year Witch, talking about crossing the border into Canada, something that the Border Patrol person said that you will never hear from an American Border Patrol officer, talking about their chances of surviving zombie apocalypse and really detailed plans, way more detailed than I thought it would go. A meal that you can always count on to have your back. It's never the best meal in the world, but it's always a good meal. I mean, just everywhere. You know, 7 Year Witch, they could have made it big if they had only had that one appearance on Dr. Phil. Such an incredible story. Of course, they're about to kick off a tour with Buckcherry in June, but before that, they are playing with Atlanta's own Silly Goose and the amazing band, the CEO. They're going to be at 37 Main Avondale Estates coming up in April on the 23rd. You do not want to miss that. That is going to be an incredible show. And trust me, 7 Year Witch, they put on a hell of a show. Doing backflips, all their sex appeal. It's crazy. So let's get into it. Episode 102 of the Scoped Podcast with 7 Year Witch starts now. And to kick it off, we'll play their latest, their new one, Cyanide. Step into my world. I'm psyched. Let's go.
To keep me from you, wherever you are, I'll always be true. You're never too far. Cyanide is bitter, but liquor I've seen well. I see your town, you drink it. I hope he burns in hell. Cyanide is bitter, but liquor I've seen well.
Check, check. What's up? Check, 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 check.
All right, perfect. Oh, man.
Nice.
My lower back has been killing me the past 2 days. I don't know if that's because I'm about to be 33 or what.
Is that
It's
your body
dad
knows
vibes.
the dad sitting in?
It is the dad sending.
Yeah.
Boy, man, I used to be so fit. Oh my gosh.
Isn't that a Limp Bizkit song? Dad vibes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's the
they
new
do.
one they put out.
That's a good song.
It actually kicks in.
Yeah. I was playing the other night.
Yeah, it was.
Can't live.
I love Dad vibes.
All about it.
I like how he kind of like reinvented his swagger.
Yeah.
What's his name? And Limp Bizkit.
Fred Durst.
Yeah, yeah,
Durst.
yeah. He went full dad.
He went for
Yeah.
that Tropic Thunder movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You never go.
You never go full dad.
That would be such an offensive movie today if it was made.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When did that come out?
God, that probably like 2008 somewhere.
A simpler time.
For some reason, I still feel like 2008 was only like 4 years ago. I don't know why.
I agree. Yeah.
Dude, time has just like flown by. And remember,
yeah.
when you're
It's
talking,
literally
you got to be
good.
right up on the microphone. You got to be loud.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Okay.
You got to make love to it.
Okay. Okay.
And if there's something I know about 7-Year Witch, you probably know how to make some love to a microphone.
Dang right.
You have
Or
to
a
talk to
crowd.
Aaron about that.
Oh, yeah.
But
All the
I'll-
above.
I will say this. Movies are not made like they used to. Like you would never see. They don't make Anchormans anymore, or like old schools, or certain type of movies where they kind of are. A lot of movies back in the day used to be a little more. I don't want to say offensive, but they
Pushing
would
the
be
envelope. you
pushing
know?
the envelope.
Yeah.
And they will now. Like Tropic Thunder, I just could never see that movie being made today.
I think it goes beyond that. It's just you won't see anything original made anymore. You know, everybody's making a reboot or a remake of some sort of movie. Nobody's writing an original script or story anymore. You know, where's the newest Harry Potter? You know, who's
Yeah.
the new whoever? You know,
I
Nobody's
have
making
never seen
anything.
Harry Potter in my life, but I do love Lord of the Rings.
Thank
Same.
you so much.
Where-
the Hobbit as well.
Yes.
The Hobbit as well. Oh my
Yes,
gosh!
good, okay.
Give me all of that. Like I could watch the Two Towers, Lord of
Yes.
the Rings, the Two Towers, or any of
Absolutely.
those, Fellowship of the Ring, or Return of the King.
Yes.
I could watch all.
I do that
Same.
yearly. That's a yearly thing for me. Is the Hobbit into Lord of the Rings? Yes.
Yeah,
You know,
I need to. I need to do
used
one of those
to.
marathons.
I used to rewatch Lord of the Rings just to catch things I may have not catched before,
Oh
yes. Mm-hmm.
and that is exactly how the Lord of the Rings goes.
Yes. Very
you
layered.
watch that, and you'll see character interactions or character meanings that you did not see before.
yeah. Exactly.
We're really nerding out on Lord of the Rings right now.
That's the
really
move.
could. I really could. And there's that new Lord of the Rings series coming out from Amazon. Have you seen that?
Oh yes,
Rings of Power or whatever it is. Curious to see that.
Apparently, they don't have the entirety of the rights to any of the Tolkien stuff, so it's like vaguely
Yeah.
Tolkien-esque.
Yeah, and it kind of, when I saw it was an Amazon thing, I was like, oh no, Bezos has a hand in this. It kind of bothered me because Tolkien's so sacred, but
What you do is you make a bunch of free trials using different emails, and you don't have to give them any money for it.
that's it.
Now, there's one of my problems. You're saying, yes, we know the Amazon thing is coming out
Yes.
about Lord of the Rings. Leave it alone.
Yeah.
Leave it alone. Let it be.
Right. And people
My
are talking
point
about just from the early concept art and stuff that they're like, oh, this doesn't feel Tolkien. And it's because I guess what y'all are saying is that there's not maybe the full rights there or something like that to do some of the things they need to
You
do.
can't expand it fully on the story.
Yeah, and Lord of the Rings is so precious, my precious. But it's like if you can't do it right, do not do it. That's
Please,
the way I see
for
it.
the love of God, don't do it.
If there's some things you can't touch on or you can't expand on, don't do it. Like the
Yep.
Lord of the Rings is such a perfect trilogy.
I agree.
Exactly.
It comes together, I think, in such a cinematic way that hasn't been done.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's a beautiful series because I've seen people, they'll complain a lot. You'll see oh, Frodo, he wasn't even necessary. Like Samwise could have done that entire journey by himself, and then Tolkien was he's like, that's the point. Like the hero isn't perfect. The hero couldn't do it. The hero needed his friends. What does that say about life? You know what I mean? I think that's awesome. It's not like Frodo was awesome and he just kicked a bunch of butt and he trotted up the mountain. It's like, no, he needed his friends.
Exactly.
But I love the Boromir part of it,
Yeah.
and that whole aspect that comes into play in the Two Towers, and his relationship with Frodo in the Ring, and oh my gosh, I'm getting too excited right now. I'm sorry. I was a film minor in college. I
Yeah.
love talking film.
Yeah.
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
If I've seen it, I'll talk it.
That's a big another passion of ours. I think if we weren't musicians in this life, we'd be directors because we have too much fun making videos and making promos, any of these types of things.
Especially
when it
music
comes-
videos?
Oh,
Oh, my
yeah.
God.
Directing is something we love to do when it comes to not doing music.
Yes.
That's our
Y'all talked about TikTok. Do you get really into TikTok and all the things that you can do with videos?
Extremely.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
that's where we actually have the biggest follower count is TikTok because, we don't stick strictly to music on there. We'll do funny stuff on there as well, and that gets you more followers and such. So we try to add our personality and our
That I see these videos on there of like, I guess you can do like 15-second videos or 10-second videos, like little clips, and then make it all into one.
Yeah.
Don't make no sense, man. Don't make no sense.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
a very, very expedited YouTube. It's like if YouTube and Instagram were one, they want you to just, when you get like 1 million views on something, that seems so monumental, but it's not the same monumental as you would on YouTube. Because like, if my video is 15 seconds, that didn't take you a whole lot of effort as a viewer to watch my video. Whereas if you watched my 7-minute video on YouTube, that just made me a ton of money. Like we're in the creator fund of TikTok, which you have to have X amount of followers or something like that. But you'd be surprised. Like we have a few videos with millions of views, and one's even got 12 million views and like 6 million likes or something. I think we made $200 from that. Whereas if that was YouTube, that would be serious money.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I mean, we've got YouTube is a whole nother thing because they have a certain criteria you have to meet to be monetized. We haven't met it yet, even though we've got tens of thousands of views on all of our music
Isn't it 2,000
videos.
followers on YouTube that you have that you can start getting compensated for?
You have to have 1,000 followers and 1,000 subscribers and 400 hours of watch time. But that does not include shorts, which is basically their version of TikTok, which we have millions of views on. We've gotten millions of views through YouTube Shorts, but the watch hours accumulated through that don't count towards what they will, allow you to be monetized through.
I think that's unfair too.
Yeah, it's absolutely unfair because
Fucking
if
suits, man.
exactly,
Fucking
because if I
suits.
go on a YouTube app on my TV and click a short, that app on my TV doesn't recognize that it's not just a normal video. It'll play an ad on there. So they're making money through that, but they won't share it with us, even though we've got well past the, allotted watch hours we need to have on YouTube. They won't count those watch hours because, that's shorts. That's different than videos.
We might get some back pay one day.
We
You
really
think about
need
that?
to.
Because it's still like beta, isn't it? Like YouTube Shorts, it's like very
Yeah.
new. So like if somebody makes a big enough fuss, we might make some money.
What
on
I'm
that.
saying is YouTube owes us a lot of money, and I will destroy them.
If anybody's listening, these guys mean business.
Yeah, we
You know,
ain't playing.
we were talking
Hear us.
when we were getting beers before this about music being a business, right? So many bands, especially ones that are just coming up, they just think sex, drugs, rock and roll, right? They just see the fun. And I don't mean this in a bad way. When you look at you guys play and all that, or, the long hair and the tattoos, they're like, oh, these guys are just like, they don't take this seriously. This is just, they're just doing this for fun. I don't mean that in a bad way.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's the image we got to sell. in
Y'all
rock
look
and
like
roll,
y'all
yeah.
they are only out there to, because y'all are such an amazing band. I'm not taking anything away from your live show.
No,
but you think, they're just going out there and doing that. When we were talking about how music is a business, y'all were like going into numbers and how like you crunch numbers
Yeah.
at the end of a show.
Business excites us more so than partying, I think. I mean, we're all kind of nerds.
Yeah.
Especially our bass player Spencer. He loves the numbers. We're all kind of geeks over that stuff.
Yeah, at the end of the night, you think you'll end up with a beer in your hand when really you got your phone with the calculator app open, being like, okay, we sold this many shirts. That's this much per shirt. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Then you got to multiply that by, pi and whatever the hell.
Yeah. When you see the growth, it's hard not to obsess over it. It's like, wait,
Exactly.
after all these years, something's right. is happening.
And then during the day, you got to study how certain social media algorithms work and this and that, and then figure
That's
out how to
annoying.
apply them to your brand. And
Yeah.
And with that, episode number 102 of the Scoped Podcast with the incredible guys that I am so excited to have on this podcast. I'm fangirling a little bit over 7 Year Witch.
Woohoo.
Oh, yeah. We're
Happy to be
fangirling
here.
over you, man.
And who do we have here from 7 Year Witch?
My name is Seth Burden. I am the drummer. Yes.
My name is Bo Anderson, and I am the guitar player of 7 Year Witch.
And who are we missing from 7 Year Witch?
We're missing our bass player, who is my brother. His name is Spencer Burden. He looks a lot like me. It's up for debate who's sexier, but yeah.
And we're missing our singer, Aaron Langford, who, based on girls' comments, is the hottest.
And we'll just put it out there. He's the one that does the flip.
Yeah,
He's
he
one
does.
of the-
He does the
Yeah,
backflip.
Okay. Yeah, we're
Does
there.
that give him a little more edge with the women?
Yes.
Probably.
No, people love that. It's a party trick. And you know what's funny is he hates it. Like
He does?
He wants to stop because he's
he
like,
hates the backflips?
yeah, he's like, well, people expect it. I don't want them to expect it. I guess he's on. I kind of feel this. Every show needs to be different, so it's like a staple. People know it's coming. They pull their phones up. But like, I'm like, bruh, people love that. It's such
People
a
tip us for it.
Yeah, yes, like
Yeah.
It is definitely a thing you expect now because at the show that I emceed, where was that? Was at Center Stage. And with Resist and Bite. And I was like, he's going to do it. 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 Is he not sore afterwards?
no, he's
Yeah.
Aaron Strange. He don't.
How old is he?
24? No,
26?
26. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good
Do
job.
you think women make him do that in the bedroom or at some point during the interaction?
I would not doubt it.
I plead the fifth.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Same.
Yeah. But no, it's funny, like, we were talking about shorts and TikTok and whatnot, we have a video of him doing a backflip we posted on TikTok before and YouTube shorts and whatnot. And, it'll get like millions of views. It'll have more views than a lot of other things we do. Now, read some comments every now. It's very sparse, every now and then. Somebody will be like, oh, HR from the Bad Brains did this before. And be like, oh, so big deal. He did a backflip. And it's like, yeah, we don't care that he did a backflip, but for some reason, y'all will only give us attention if you see a backflip.
Yeah.
It's
People
weird.
think that if you do the flip, you have then said that we have pioneered the flip. We've
Well,
never.
people have done backflips, man.
Yeah, we've never said like Paramore, their bassist. Somebody does a flip. 21 Pilots does a flip. Bad Brains does a flip.
Yeah.
Fever 333 does a flip. I mean,
I love Fever 333.
yeah, it's just like
Love
we never claim to have invented it.
It's not like he's saying, by the way, before I do this, everyone, this is from me. I invented this entire movement.
Yeah.
I am
Yeah.
the first one to do this on a stage ever.
But for some reason, our Blur cover doesn't get 2.3 million views on YouTube. So here's a backflip.
Yeah.
Don't you just hate the keyboard warriors, man? The people that just have to say it to say it.
Yeah.
Like just to be seen.
They're kind of fun.
Yeah.
Like I put a video of me playing my acrylic drums, and they look like the John Bonham Ludwig Vista Lights, and they're not. They're a copy. They're like a D-drum version of that for our drummer people.
version.
Yeah, the cheaper, affordable.
7 Year Witch version.
Yeah, the half as much version. But people in the comments could not get over the fact that it wasn't the real deal, the Ludwig Vista Light. They were like, Bonham would have played the Vista Light. That ain't the Vista Light. Those aren't Paiste cymbals. I'm like, I never said they were.
We can't afford those things.
I was like, that's not the point of the video. I was trying to show you that I can play. Crazy out there.
You say you're not signed to a label yet. Blows my mind because if you see your live show and the way the crowd reacts to your show, you think you guys would be headlining festivals right now.
I think it took us some time to get to the. I'm not even going to say that we're impressive or something, but if someone were to think we're impressive, this was actually a little bit of an uphill battle to get to this point. I think we are at our strongest point we are now, and I think people are really starting to take notice now. It's a very exciting time, especially this summer, going cross country, going to California. Yeah, I think there's some really big stuff like that in store. We've had some smaller labels show some interest, but I think we all know we have something special, and we don't want to turn it over to just anybody. So yeah, I think the day is coming. Somebody's going to give us that attention.
Yeah, I think as it is right now, we have seen and are still seeing a certain amount of growth that we're happy with and we're comfortable with, and we're not just gonna sign to anybody. Not that we're getting a bunch of attention or offers or anything, but we don't really feel we need anything just yet. That might change or whatever, or we might get a deal that's so good you can't turn it down. But we're pretty happy independent at the moment.
Well, isn't that the problem? Some bands that are so money hungry and they just want that that label backing no matter who it is. Isn't that the problem? They get, oh, hey, we'll sign you, and then it's like, boom, of course they don't do their research, they don't do reading. Isn't that a problem?
Yeah.
It is. And the label, then when you get label hungry like that and you're not really being proactive and stuff, it's like they'll own your merch, which is like financial suicide in a way, because we've seen on the road merch is everything, where we might make $250 on a just opening up for whoever, but then you make $2,000 in merch. Imagine if you didn't own that and you were only given a percentage of it. That's dangerous. And that's something that Metallica was really smart about, is they own their merchandising. They told their label, I guess whoever hopped on them first, I guess Metallica was so proactive that they owned the printing, the merchandising, everything. And they were like, you can have us as a band, but you won't touch our merch. So any piece of Metallica memorabilia you buy now goes to Metallica and not through anyone else, which is so impressive.
And that's probably such a rarity in the music business, having that kind of clout where they were, having that kind of deal.
Yeah.
The almighty Metallica, let me just say.
Yeah. I can only hope by the time we have something major that we can at least, I know it won't be great, but it makes something fair out of the merch, because that's so huge.
I love Metallica so much. And last time they were in Atlanta with Greta and Cage.
That's
Interesting lineup, but
Yeah,
I wish I had seen it.
You should have seen those southern redneck Metallica fans watching Cage the Elephant, and this bald, tall dude that had like a southern flag or Confederate flag shirt on. Cage is out there on stage. He looks at his wife. He's standing right in front of him. He goes, just seen his face.
That's beautiful.
We just opened for Struggle Jennings, the rapper, country rapper in Mississippi.
Yeah.
We got some interesting looks, but we were thankfully able to win over that audience.
And that's the big thing.
I was wearing a shirt with sequins on it on stage. We walk out there, I could see some faces like, what? And then afterwards, one dude was like, "No, I didn't know what to think of y'all at first. Seen your sequin shirt and whatnot, but y'all are pretty all right, man."
Yeah,
we did our job.
We rode the lightning on that one a little bit, because somebody in a patched vest, like definitely in some like Hell's Angels recognized motorcycle club or something like that, he had came up to Aaron and made a comment about his skinny jeans. He was like, "Oh, I didn't know if I was going to be into it when I saw y'all wearing women's jeans." And he was like, "But let me get a picture with y'all," or something like that. And then Aaron was like, "Oh, it's all cool. I got them from your mama." And that dude just laughed it off. But
that could have gone a completely 180.
absolutely.
I even told Aaron, I was like, the mama stuff, bro. Like, he laughed, but somebody might have lost their mind over that. Oh,
You could have easily had some knives in your face, or
yeah.
Oh man.
That night we signed 2 different people's cowboy boots and a cowboy hat. So we did pretty all right.
Have y'all ever gotten comparisons to like Greta or Dirty Honey?
Yes.
Sometimes, yeah. In fact, we were actually at Busch Gardens thanks to a friend of ours named Wendy who got us in. She works there. We were actually walking to the front of this line, and somebody said, "Honey, that's Greta Van Fleet." And our singer was like, "Half of them don't even have long hair." What?
Yeah.
But
I think that's purely an aesthetic thing. People comparing us, because if you really dive into the music, I don't hear the similarities to Greta Van Fleet with us as much, unless I'm just missing something. But yeah, you see young guys that are clearly in a band, you might think Greta Van Fleet.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, Greta Van Fleet, and I've said it so many times, they really revolutionized the rock genre. They came along, and rock was stagnant for a long time. When I'm talking mainstream bands, you had like the Disturbs, the Korns, the Breaking Benjamins, making still a great music for a lot through the 2010s. And please tell me if y'all disagree with me on this. Greta Van Fleet came along, and it was kind of that new blood
Yeah.
that had
Yeah.
been missing from rock for a while. Like when they came out with Anthem of the Peaceful Army, it was kind of like, oh, there's finally a new band that's, really hitting the mainstream.
Yeah, I can't speak as like a fan of theirs because I'm not gonna lie, I haven't listened to like their full albums or anything. I only know like one or two songs, but I know that they have certainly had an effect. And I think that they, as you were saying, revolutionized. I think a big part of that is that they broke through to a younger audience with, kind of a basically old rock sound. They came with a copy and paste, almost like 60s, 70s rock sound and broke through to a younger audience and got younger people to listen to them. So I think that's a very big deal. Yeah.
I'll forever defend Greta Van Fleet because this is what it seemed like to me, is that there was a group of people that, truly do love rock and roll music. They were like, man, if only there was a band that like brought kids, show kids that like the classic rock is like, it's cool and bring them into that world and stuff like that. And then Greta Van Fleet comes along and does just that. And they bring younger people, younger than us, into that world of classic rock. And those same people that longed for that have something against Greta Van Fleet. And they're like, oh, they sound just like Zeppelin. And it's like, well, they're bringing a generation of people that were probably missing out on that into this world.
People, that older generation always says, oh, they don't make rock like they used to.
Yeah.
Well, then this band comes along and they have that concept, but they put their own spin on it.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
then people are never fucking pleased, man.
No,
People are
absolutely
never
not.
happy.
No,
Exactly.
no. Yeah, and I think Greta Van Fleet, they strayed from the active rock thing, kind of like you're saying with like Korn and Disturbed and stuff like that. They strayed pretty heavily from active rock, but they still like. It's almost mind-boggling how well they developed. You know what I mean? It's just like people really were picking up what they were throwing down, and that might be the really heavy Zeppelin influence in the sound and stuff like that, because that's timeless. But yeah, it's actually amazing they've done as well as they have.
Hey, man, people can hate on them all they want. They did the festivals. They took it all the way to the bank.
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
I will never. I don't know if you're allowed to curse, but I will never.
yeah.
I will never shit on them for what they've done because they're playing arenas and we're not. Hopefully that changes. Hopefully we're also playing arenas at some point. But I'm never going to talk badly on them because they've done something impressive.
And I have talked to a lot of bands who agree with people like, oh, they ripped off Zeppelin. They hate on them, and I say, well, you know what? Either you're jealous or something, because you have, even if you don't necessarily like a band, you have to respect the work ethic or the success that a
Exactly.
band's had.
Yeah, and I want to guarantee those guys too, working with songwriters, if they got pushed in a Zeppelin direction, I guarantee they're not sitting there like with some malice in their heart going, we're ripping off Zeppelin, we're going to make so much money. Somebody might have, a songwriter that is getting paid as a part of that team might have pushed them in that direction, and they're making the absolute best of it. And I don't think there's anything that I've ever heard by them where I think it's a blatant ripoff. I can show you 10 bands right now that 7 Year Witch sounds just like. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean that we're ripping them off. It's just like there's, you got heavy influences, and that definitely shines through sometimes.
Like maybe their tones are, similar to Zeppelin. Maybe the singer sounds like Robert Plant when he's singing up high or whatever. But, from what I can tell, their riffs are all their own. Parts are all their own. I haven't, listened to a Greta Van Fleet song. Like I said earlier, granted, I've not listened to a lot of them. But,
Do yourself a
I've
favor,
never.
go check out something. It's
Yeah,
good.
I should. And but never have I sat there and been like, wait a second, that's Ramble On. What the hell?
I don't know. I mean, I really respect them and what they did, but that's neither here nor there,
Yeah.
because the genre now has opened up so much, and bands that are coming through like I don't know if you've heard the new one from Jelly Roll, Dead Man Walking.
Oh, we were just talking about Jelly Roll the other
really
day.
were, yeah.
Jelly Roll, I need to dive into the world of Jelly Roll.
This guy's the biggest Waffle House fan you will ever meet in your life.
He hasn't met us yet.
Ugh.
No, this guy is like, it's
Cross
two
over the
all-star
century.
specials every time he goes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I can fit about one of those.
He's a very large person, I'll say that.
he's got
but-
the surface area for it for sure. But yeah, his fan base is fanatic. It is
And
crazy.
What is so smart about him, he has a song on our station, Rock 100.5, and he also has a song on the country station right across from us.
Amazing.
Like to be able to have two songs in two different genres on the radio, that's a huge thing.
Absolutely.
There's money in that right there in the country music angle.
Oh, yeah.
Man's making his money.
And like, hitting that much of a demographic with like, and both of these songs are on the same album. And it's like, that's not seen very often where you cross over like that.
Oh, yeah. That's one of the only bands I can think of that like truly successfully was able to cross genres flawlessly on the same album even was Queen. They're one of the only bands that were able to be like, here's a funk song. Also, here's Bohemian Rhapsody. Fuck you,
Oh, man, that was the greatest film.
Oh, yeah.
That was such a great film.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
And another thing about Jelly Roll, while we're on the subject,
Sorry, we got deep into Jelly Roll the other
Like,
day,
this
so we
blew-
were doing a deep dive.
yeah, this blew my mind. When we opened for Struggle Jennings, we did 2 shows with him. This I'm not saying anything negative about Struggle Jennings, but the loudest applause of the entire night is when Struggle Jennings acknowledged the fact that he works with Jelly Roll. He'd be like, "Yeah, this track I worked something like this. Like I worked on this track with my man Jelly Roll." The floor moved, like the concrete floor shook. Like people love him.
Somebody
It's
passed out.
yeah, like he's like I'm not saying he's like the Beatles of his genre, but I'm like, that's what I'm saying. I need to do a dive on Jelly Roll because he's doing something so right. You know,
The guy has an incredible backstory of like struggle, like real struggle in his life. And I think in the song Dead Man Walking, he says, and I give praise to the waffle or something like that. It's crazy.
yeah, he
but-
might turn me into a fan with just that one line.
Hell yeah.
I mean, how many nights have we all been at Waffle House at 3 a.m.?
You ain't from the Southeast unless you spend at least like half the nights of the year at a Waffle House.
Yeah, if you hadn't been shot,
You're not from the South unless you know a great meal or a decent meal is always
Exactly.
at Waffle
Oh
House.
yeah, it's
In
waiting on you.
Georgia, there's always a Waffle House within walking distance of every Waffle House.
It's never going to be the best meal you've ever had, but it's always going to be a good meal.
Oh yeah.
There for you.
Yeah.
It's there for you when you need it.
You know, and they'll ring you up a little bit different every time. The price is going to vary a little bit, but you know what? That waffle, that's going to be the one constant in your life. People come and go. That waffle, you
that
don't
waffle and the loaded hash brown.
Yeah,
it's
that waffle
always
don't-
there for you.
play. Waffle don't play like that.
And you can always talk to life with a Waffle House employee.
Oh my God, yeah,
Exactly.
they've lived it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Jeff,
Yeah.
what is a cause that's worth dedicating your life to?
A cause is worth dedicating your life to. I'm gonna say from personal experience, rock and roll and drumming. It's
Personally, you can say that, but you can't say that because you do those things.
yeah. Yeah, that's my angle.
What's a
Drumming.
cause that's worth
A cause?
like childhood obesity or feeding the hungry? Or
Oh, okay. In this
anything,
angle,
any
okay.
cause that you believe in.
Oh, that I believe in. Oh my goodness, that's a.
What is
okay.
something that Seth dedicates his life?
Oh goodness.
What is a cause?
What's
Seth
important to
dedicates
you?
his life to?
Holy moly, that's a big one. Let me think about that for a second. Bo, you want to go first? Can I think?
My goodness. It depends on what kind of mood I'm in. Either, bringing happiness to others or destruction. Either one,
Polar
Those are both-
opposites, bro.
Yeah, exactly. It depends on the mood one's in,
Yeah.
I think those are worthy causes.
Oh, they're both two wings on the same bird almost.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One could say
I'm
that.
going to be a good citizen and say childhood obesity.
Childhood
That's
obesity.
actually
yeah.
a great cause,
That's,
yeah.
that's very that's very.
I'm a very healthy person. I
Yeah.
try to be. So I mean, yeah.
We try to be, but at the same time, we live in a van on a touring
We're
band
gonna get
budget.
into the van. We
Yeah.
talked about the van during beers. We're gonna get into the
Yeah,
van.
hey, you know what? I give you this: cyberbullying.
That's
it's
a
messed
great
up.
cause.
It's messed up because you know what? It's like it affects you deeply. Words affect you deeply. The pen is mightier than the sword.
I thought you were talking about like dedicating your life to cyberbullying.
That's what I'm saying. I'm going to bully you on
He's
the internet.
encouraging all the cyber bullies.
If there's a way that we could swing some type of angle to help, not help cyberbullying as the bullies, but no, help stop it, it's a problem. Because people comment on our stuff and I laugh, but I ain't gonna lie. The smallest little pride kind of it prickles sometimes,
Same thing. Like there are people
Yeah.
that'll comment about my show and be like, there'll be the person that's like, "Oh, that song sucks that you played," or "You suck," or something like that. I'm
Yeah.
like, I know it's just words, but it does hurt.
Yeah.
And like you think about like kids and like I can't imagine being in grade school in today's world, being a kid with like
no.
I can't imagine like the first iPad didn't come out till I was a sophomore in college.
Oh,
yeah.
And I can't imagine like how much words will hurt, or like, someone posts something on Facebook putting themselves out there. Like we put ourselves out there all the time. You guys with your music,
Yeah.
me with the radio. So we're kind of opening ourselves up to that possible criticism.
Yeah, and that's like you see a lot of celebrities. They say they don't even read their comments because they can't. Because if you look at some of these things, like you would stop doing what you're doing if you saw that amount of negativity. You know what I mean?
It scares the hell out of me that there's like, we grew up, we're younger, but, we grew up in a time where that wasn't like all encompassing, where online life wasn't all encompassing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole generation of people that are going to grow up only knowing like the world of social media and online life. That will be their entire existence. They will never have known a life outside of that.
We're probably one of the last generations. Like when I was a child, there was no. There were computers. There was no home computer.
Yeah.
There was a home phone, but like phones weren't this like whatever you could call this like monstrosity that I'm addicted to. Yeah, that's weird to think of. Like our generations and probably maybe a year or two after, they're not going to know any different than
We actually know the literal meaning of hang up the phone.
Yeah, I had dial-up internet when I was in high school.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, Mom, get off the phone. I'm trying to get on AOL Instant Messenger.
Because I'm trying to think. This is very roundabout, but people were probably having home computers and internet in the year of probably 2000, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Maybe even a little sooner. No, because we had a Windows 95. So I guess at some point my dad was on the computer, and that's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah, good luck. And when you turned it on, it went. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
I used to try to watch porn on my dial-up internet, and
I did find some stuff on that computer.
Dude, I crashed 2 computers in high school because I downloaded so much free porn off LimeWire.
Yeah. Oh, LimeWire. Oh, goodness gracious. There was one time on the family computer I was looking at porn, and my mom walked in the room, and I didn't know what to do, and so I thought it would break the computer if you just turned off the computer, so I turned off the monitor. And so all she'd have to do is turn the monitor back on.
Oh,
and
God.
I literally almost cried. I was so scared. But she was just in there doing folding some clothes or some stuff. It's bad.
My mom told me, this is how my mom scared me.
Yeah.
Because a guy from our church that fixed electronics was coming out to see if he could fix my computer.
Oh,
and my
Lordy.
mom knew why I crashed the computer, obviously. And she's like, Jackson, he's going to go through your hard drive and he's going to be able to see every website you've been to. So you might need to go tell him so he knows. And so I went up to this electrician from my church and I was like, I visited WeDoLiveTogether.com. It's a lesbian site. I visited InTheVIP.com. And like all this, and he's like, I don't need to know that. And I laughed at my mom so hard.
He's like, first off, me too.
He's like, yeah, I subscribe to that every month.
He's like, I am on Xhamster.
I had a similar thing to that, not porn related, but in my first apartment I lived in on my own down on Deering Street in Midtown.
Oh, yeah.
Me and my roommate were trying to figure out what we were going to name our Wi-Fi, and we chose Grandma's Left Nut. And then like a month later, some dude had to come out to fix it, and he had to ask us to our face, which one is y'all's connection? We both had to say, Grandma's Left Nut. I was like, what? Grandma's Left Nut.
That's a dang good one.
You know 1660 Peachtree, the apartments?
Oh, yeah, that's right around the corner from
That's
where I
the
used to
first
live.
apartment I lived in when I moved to Atlanta in 2012. Loved that area, man.
I loved it there. Oh, yeah, used to go there all the time, man. I love that. That was the best times, was in that. I lived in it's called the Atlantic Loring.
Yeah.
Loring Atlantic, whatever it's called. They probably changed the name by now, but yeah, that was home base for a long time.
Yeah.
I love that place.
And then you had that great mellow mushroom right there.
Oh, yeah.
R. Thomas.
Oh, yeah. Oh, dude, I love that place. The birds and everything.
Birds.
Oh, my God.
The $7 orange juice.
Oh, my God.
So get this. So when my brother and we lived in Buckhead for a while, and I was dating my wife at the time, and she was over, and we just wanted to have a chill night. My brother says, hey, I'm going to R. Thomas. Y'all want to go? And we're like, nah, we're chilling out. We got a bottle of wine and all that. I'm the biggest Adam Sandler fan in the fucking world, right? Like, I would just scream like a 13-year-old girl if I ever saw him. My brother by himself at R. Thomas at like 1 a.m. Adam Sandler had just got done doing something on NBA on TNT here in Atlanta, something like that. And so The next day he wakes up and he tells me. He walks into the kitchen and he's like, yeah, I figured y'all would be asleep. Adam Sandler was sitting 2 tables down from me at Art Thomas. And you know, Art Thomas is very close together. It's not like this like wide restaurant.
You can overhear everybody around you.
Lived a mile and a half from Art Thomas at the time. And he goes, oh yeah, and this was like 1 o'clock in the morning. And my brother Jason's like, yeah, I saw Adam Sandler and I thought about calling you, but I just figured you'd be asleep.
Oh,
I still hold resentment towards my brother to this day because Adam Sandler was a mile and a half from my apartment, and my brother didn't call me.
Yeah, you could be like, you know what? The phone call would wake me up, and
I was awake.
Yeah,
I was awake at 1 o'clock. We were watching me and my wife were watching movies or whatever, and just he showed me the picture he took of Adam Sandler there, and I have never been more upset in my life at anything.
No, and that's the thing with celebrities. Like, I know some people don't like to be approached and this and that, but at the end of the day, the celebrity is on the fans' payroll in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, the only reason they have these lavish lives and things is because the everymen like us that just so happen to care. So if I see somebody and I want to make an interaction, I try not to think twice about it. Because, I mean, if they want to be a jerk, they can be a jerk as the day is long. But I'm like, I don't feel like they have the ground. If I'm being unreasonable, they have the grounds. You know what I mean?
We caused their success.
Yes,
we deserve
absolutely.
to say hi.
You're on our payroll.
That's why, I'm not saying we're huge or anything, but if somebody comes up to us at a show or something, or if somehow they recognize us outside of us being on stage or whatever, I'm not going to be a dick to somebody because they're the only reason that I'm able to do this for a living. Or I'm not doing it for a living. I'm breaking even right now. But you know what I mean. They're the only reason I'm able to do it reasonably. So I'm going to, give them all I've got to give right there, not only on stage, but off stage. That being said, anytime I've met somebody that's, famous or from the TV or whatever, I've never acknowledged what they've, that they're a TV person. I'll just try to talk to them as a, I don't recognize them.
Well,
Interesting take.
I feel like so many celebrities you wouldn't spot in person because, you see some celebrities, they look so different when they don't have the makeup on. But Adam Sandler is one of those guys you're like, that's Adam Sandler. So, and it's like when I go to local shows here in Atlanta, if a local band wants to come up and say, hey, I have a song, I want to send you for your show. Of course, I'm going to be like, of course. I mean, as small and minuscule as I am, I just if you want to take the time to, if you want to be on my show, and you have the music for it, of course I want to hang out.
Absolutely.
I was telling y'all, I believe radio people in a band should be on an even level.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we appreciate the hell out of that.
We did so much talking pre-show that I was worried. I was like, oh gosh, we're going to come in here, we're not going to have shit to say. We did all the talking over beers. I still want to get into the touring van.
Oh,
but
yeah.
First, I want to ask y'all, how would y'all do in a zombie apocalypse?
Oh, Lordy have mercy. Okay, so
it's easy to say you think you'd do good, but
how
once
many
you start digging into it, it's a little more.
Yeah. Okay. So how many acres would you say that your family has, Bo, on y'all's property?
My house is on 3 acres, and then we own the 3 acres next to it, so 6 acres.
My family has 4, and we're moving in. My parents live on those 4 acres, and me and my brother are moving a single wide trailer on part of those 4 acres. So I feel like acreage, it plays into the zombie apocalypse first and foremost. The supplies angle, that's where we would come into a huge problem. We don't have, we wouldn't, let's just say it started tonight. I don't have enough food at home to last me more than a few days. That'd be a big issue. I would struggle with that. The weaponry.
Would you eat a zombie if it was dead?
It depends on whether or not it can still transmit whatever disease creates zombieism.
Zombieism. I've never heard zombieism.
Yeah. I might have coined a term on this show right now.
Let's say it didn't. Would you eat it?
Yeah. Because,
it's protein. It's
easy to say you won't, but when you're in a moment when old have to comes around, you're going to.
I'm going to go ahead and say I'd have to because we have we got some canned stuff at home, but I can't see us surviving more than a week if we were held up at home.
Okay, our singer Aaron is not here, but he has done a lot of thinking on this topic, and I will try to recite as much as he has told us riding in the van on our long drives, is that one of his strategies, which I think is genius and I would follow along in, is that he wouldn't go directly for a grocery store or Walmart. He wouldn't go target a mall to try to take over. He tried to target a hardware store such as a Home Depot or a Lowe's. I personally think that's genius because you have most of the materials within that store that you would need to plant food, also defend yourself, and build, shelter and on, et cetera. You could set up a rooftop garden on top of that Lowe's with the, soil and plentiful fertilizer that you have in the garden section of a Lowe's or Home Depot.
That's a lot of space to occupy too, which scares me because there's so many entrances.
But fewer entries that you'd have to defend.
And you have a lot of weapons at your disposal.
Exactly.
You do.
A spade can decapitate a zombie from, a few feet away.
I'd say if it started, grocery stores are out. Everybody and their grandma's heading to the grocery store to occupy the
Walmart,
grocery store.
Forget it.
Yeah.
Lowe's, though. Everybody's at Home Depot.
Yeah.
Lowe's for pros.
Yeah, Lowe's
Exactly.
for pros, yeah.
Pro zombie murderers.
I'm not going to say I don't think I would dominate. I wouldn't be like Negan from The Walking Dead. I wouldn't dominate, I don't think. I just don't think I have enough at my disposal, especially weaponry. I don't have enough. We have a few guns.
Between us, my dad and I own 125.
See,
guns.
like your
So I'm coming to your house.
your camp would be sufficient with that, whereas mine we have like 5 guns.
Yeah, I always said I would try to figure out some way to be like the governor on The Walking Dead, take over a town, close off certain roads or whatever, and then build a government or something and slowly spread it out.
It's all about your community, but it's going to become, after a while, if it's anything like The Walking Dead, it's going to become a very every tribe and every man for himself type of thing. And it's like, who do you trust?
My goal would be to try to get as many people as I can, particularly the most well-armed in my community, to trust me and trust my judgment to the point where they will live under a society under me and I slowly become a dictator.
Do you know somebody with cattle?
Actually, yes. My uncle works with cattle.
That's a big deal.
That is a big deal.
That's like a lot of the food.
What's more important, weaponry or food access?
Oh,
You're
goodness.
right.
They're
I think they're both equally important in different ways.
because you might say your food's important, but what if somebody comes to take your food?
But
You know
here's
what I mean?
here's what really affects that. Are these fast zombies or slow zombies?
That's a
That
great
makes-
question.
If they're fast, this
If they're
isn't gonna
fast
work.
weaponry, obviously.
Yeah, if they're
Absolutely, yeah.
fast, we're so.
If they're slow, you're set. You can just run.
If they're slow, there might be a degree of fun to that.
Yeah.
You just beat the crap out of a slow zombie, but if they're fast, oh my, I don't know.
Can you imagine a fast zombie apocalypse? Like that's just, I would just lay down. I'd be like, all right.
I'm out. I
Yeah.
join Team Zombie.
I'll put it this way. If they're slow, I'm setting up camp. I'm occupying space. I'm acquiring a community. If they're fast, I'm going to be a vagabond. I'm going to steal. I'm going to lie. I'm going to cheat. I'm going to kill people. I'm going to take. Yeah, because you have no other option. If your morality's too intact and they're fast, you're going to get eat.
Oh, yeah. You can't have morality and fast zombies in the same world.
They can't
I
coexist.
ask this because I do a lot of the online blog read. I read like as much shit as I can on the internet, just all the crazy shit that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But early in COVID, people were like, oh, you get it. It's the zombie apocalypse or the vaccine. That's the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
And like all these people, all the preppers came out, and I was reading all these little Reddit blogs of the preppers, preparing for a zombie apocalypse from COVID.
Yeah.
I wish I mean, not even just the COVID thing. I just need to prepare for anything like that because, I mean, the fact that nuclear weapons are even in the question in general.
I play a lot of Fallout, so it's easy to say I think I could do pretty well. Granted, that takes place 200 years after the weapons fall, so
I'm not ready. No matter what the scenario, I'm not ready.
Well, what was y'all's biggest struggle during COVID? Like the height of it. What did you learn about yourselves, or what did you have problems with the most?
Oh, I got a good answer for this. Is that, especially with the band thing, it's like your dreams can be robbed from you in a second. And it was so discouraging because when it first happened, I was like, okay, the band can't play. That's a very defeating feeling. But then I was like, okay, no one's band can play. I don't feel like I'm getting left out. But I'm like, the fact that I went from, I mean, we were so busy because we were independent beforehand. So we had a lot of freedom. If we wanted to book a show, we booked a show. It didn't go through 2 other guys before we booked the show. So we literally played every single Friday and Saturday, some Thursday, some Wednesday. We were playing constantly. We didn't necessarily tour as much, but we were playing constantly. And I was like, I had got so adjusted to that. My way of life completely changed. It blew my mind. I was like, literally, on the scope of the world, the world can take away your dream just like that. And that was very eye-opening. And I was like, oh my goodness, it's like I gave everything to this and it's not a thing right now. So.
Yeah, similar thing for me. Like I was in a different band before COVID. They had another guitar player.
Wait, so 7 Year Witch has really happened since COVID?
In its modern form, in its current form.
Oh, sorry.
The band as a whole has been together for 7, 8 years.
Different members, different names, but 7, 8 years.
Yeah.
Sorry,
And
go ahead.
No
Go
worries.
ahead.
And I was in another band before that called the Two Takes with Chase from
Love
The Thrill.
the 2 Takes.
Yeah, that was my old band, and yeah, we used to tour with 7 Year Witch all the time. Same van, this same van that we only 5 of us share now. Used to be 8 of us in that same van.
We're going to talk about the van.
Oh
pretty
yeah,
soon.
going all over the place and whatnot, and we grew very close then. But you know, during COVID, Two Takes kind of fell apart, and then you know, I was readjusting. I was like, you know what, maybe I'm not gonna do music anymore. You know, I don't really have any songs. You know, I don't really have a band or whatever. So maybe I'll readjust. I was readjusting pretty all right for and then they called me like, hey, would you be down to, you know, fill in or do some more permanent stuff? I'm like, I literally just gave myself a bowl cut yesterday, but if you can wait for me to grow out my hair, sure. So yeah, and then so there was a lot of readjusting during that time, but it felt better than ever when we were able to tour. You know, after that, you know, we toured with Adelita's Way last March, about a year ago now. One of the first, you know, national or big tours to happen, you know, after COVID, I think, and we got to open for them on 5 of those shows, and you know, it felt really good to be back in that space, you know, after COVID, to be able to, you know, go play these. And 2, I don't know, you know, if I'm speaking for everybody, but those are some of the biggest shows I personally have ever played. You know, a lot of people that were really into it. You know, we got a lot out of it. You know, a lot of fans. You know, a lot of people that still come to see us to this day out of those shows. So I think in the long run, in a weird way, I hate to say COVID was a good thing, but, you know, that's not what I'm saying. But
I can't believe it happened looking back.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so weird.
But I think in our personal situation, you know, some good came out of, you know, where it led all of us.
I want to expand on that after I say this. What I learned from COVID is that I love being in.
That's nice sometimes.
Before COVID, I was never in. I was always out. I was either at shows, I was at breweries. I never wanted to be at my house. Now, after like a year and a half of doing my radio show from home and, you know, growing my relationship with my now wife and all that, and getting pregnant last year together, like, I love being in.
Yeah.
I love having a beer and watching the game on my couch. And there's just something I love now about being in that I'm trying to readjust to, like, be like, all right, got to get back out there, got to do this. And it's taken me a minute because, but yeah, being in.
Nice.
Yeah, I always knew I was an introvert living in the world of extroverts and doing extrovert things. And I got, like I said, before COVID, I got so adjusted to it. And then getting, like, you know, when we got back out there with Adelita's Way, getting those sea legs back, I was like, oh my goodness, this is what I was doing. And there was beauty to being in. That made me appreciate it. I was like, God, I really do. I am kind of a homebody.
Yeah.
Living a not homebody life, which is fine. But I was like, yeah, I agree with your sentiment there. There's something wonderful about being at home.
I saw a new appreciation, you know, for it. I was like, wow, I'm finally making, you know, the most out of my mortgage payment. I'm actually, you know, in my house more, and I don't know, there's something about it, you know, especially now I'm going to be a father, obviously, you know, I'm very excited to, you know, stay at home as much as I can with my boy. But, you know, what y'all were talking about, what COVID did for music, and as you said, COVID was not a great thing, but there were things we learned from COVID that had positive aspects. I'm hearing a lot of bands evolving their sound, trying different things with their music.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
Bring Me the Horizon, Asking Alexandria.
Royal Blood is a big band that changed a lot of stuff.
Yeah, Royal Blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Experimented with a lot of new sounds and stuff. Yeah.
Korn with their new Requiem album. Jonathan Davis got a lot of influence listening to Cannibal Corpse. And Cannibal Corpse, one of my favorite bands.
Oh, yeah.
Hammer Smash Face, yeah.
And so I'm hearing so much evolved sound from bands. They're trying different things. They're recreating their formulas. And don't y'all think that's from bands, 2 years not being able to tour, not being able to be able in the same space and write music together? They're like, it was this like way their brain changed, being like, all right, what can we try that's new?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that happened with us when we wrote Cyanide and Hellraising and all that. I'm pretty sure that was in the midst of the COVID, the pandemic, everything. Yeah. And there was that freedom. There wasn't that feeling of like, oh, we're in this period of writing while all the other bands are out doing everything. There was a lack of pressure, it felt like, which is kind of rare. Even with just, aside from music and live, when you have
music
that
is a constant competition.
Yeah, it really is.
Oh,
and so when it felt like we didn't have all that pressure, that was different. That was nice. And I think that I definitely felt that with the songwriting. It was just like I just didn't feel like it.
We weren't in a rush to get something out, so
yeah.
we could, before this certain tour, this and that. It was like we were able to write.
It wasn't as impending. Yeah, I think that does affect you musically. I think that affected us at the very least.
Like with your drumming or your guitar playing, like if you had a drum, what do you call it? A drum, not a segment, but
solo?
A drum solo or something like that. You were able to expand on it a little bit, really think about it, be like, all right, well, how can I tweak this part? Or, you're playing the guitar, you're like, how can I tweak this solo? What can I really add to it?
Yeah.
And it gave you that space to not have to rush something.
Oh, yeah. It almost made us too self-aware of the set list because we're at the point, we had got so in the groove of the things we were doing. We'd play so much we weren't even practicing, but when you go that, time without playing, especially we didn't go an entire year without playing, but months at the least, you're like, okay, well, let's look at our set. Let's look at the things we always wanted to change, but we were always in such a hurry and we were always so busy we never changed. You find so many little things you want to tweak, and you almost become hyper aware of these things, and you're like, oh, goodness, there's a lot I would change now that we have the time. And I think we're still figuring that out.
Yeah, the time I spent alone during all that time, I really dove deep into pedals and effects, which really shows through now in a lot of what we do, our sound and stuff. I use a lot of effects that I only discovered how to use, during 2020 when I really didn't have any shows going on, and all I had to do was play with myself in a professional sense.
Yeah, you do.
And a private sense. But yeah. Also, is it unprecedented to take a pee break in the middle of a podcast?
Not at all.
Absolutely, because I need to pee really bad, if that's all right.
Of course.
This can be a good transition into the piss bottles.
Let's see. Do you need a pee too?
If we pause, then I will. I ain't about to bust.
Hell
Okay. Yeah. I ain't gonna lie, it was in the back of my mind, but I was like, I'll make it.
I saw your chair moving a little more, and I was really moving.
All right, pee break over.
Oh my goodness, that was neat.
Everybody feel rejuvenated?
Absolutely.
Brand new
man. Bladder's empty.
Like Brooks and Dunn said, brand new man.
You know what the thing about if either of you ever have pregnant wives, I'll give you a piece of advice. They pee a lot.
Yeah.
I bet they don't pee as much as me on tour after a Red Bull.
Is that a lot of peeing?
There's a lot of peeing on tour.
Yeah, I think me and Bo are on the same page. We don't drink out of thirst. We drink out of boredom. I will drink an entire bottle of, and I can't enjoy anything. Like if I have a bottle of water or a Red Bull, I can't just sit there and sip on it and put the top back on. I have to drink the entire thing at once. I don't know why.
I have the same problem. I can't just sip on a drink, even if it's a non-alcoholic drink or an alcoholic drink.
Yeah.
There are people that'll sip on a beer for like 30 minutes, and I'm like,
No.
How?
I'm
on my third sweet tea by then, dude.
Yeah, I was tempering myself when we were at the bar because I was like, I don't want to kill my drink and then everybody thinks I'm trying to leave or something. I was tempering myself. if it's just me, and it's not out of alcoholism, it's got to get gone. I can't enjoy.
I wanted to
this.
talk to you about your problem.
Yeah. That's
I really
this
wanted to
entire.
say something about that. I was worried.
That's actually what this is all about.
That's
This is
this whole
actually
bit.
an intervention. We planned this entire thing, me and
I've
Bo.
always wanted an intervention. Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't think either of us can enjoy things.
Yeah, we
It's just-
drink liquids very fast, no matter what they are.
I'm like that with food. I inhale it. Like few people want to admit that, but everybody, I enjoy not. I can't even hardly breathe when I eat. I want to get it down.
And that's surprising for those of you listening, knowing that Seth is
I'm underweight.
very skinny man.
He's
Yeah.
not overweight at all. So I mean, don't feel bad for him. He's not got
Yeah.
a weight problem.
Yeah.
Should inhale food.
Yeah, I may
We
have a
all should.
tapeworm. Yes.
Yeah.
And he's like, whatever his calorie intake right now is, he needs to double it, maybe even
Yeah.
triple it.
Yes, if there was enough food available, yes.
You know, here's the thing, and I'll do this real quick. My wife and I, we did the vegetarian diet for a while, and I've been trying it for about a year because I got my gallbladder taken out at the end of 2020.
Oh, damn.
And it was an emergency surgery. It was crazy, and it's tough to get enough calories on the vegetarian diet. I'm 6'1", something like that, or I'm big, pretty big guy, and so to get enough calories just from fucking plants, it's been hard.
What is it? 2,000 calories a day is recommended, something like that?
Yeah, so 2,000 calories. Yeah,
Yeah,
that would be a lot of greens.
I mean, I'll do things like chickpeas or legumes and all that, but it's
Yeah.
tough, man.
Mhm.
It's tough.
I couldn't imagine. I haven't even attempted it. The closest thing I would ever probably try to attempt is pescatarian because I love fish. But yeah, God, just getting that at least the daily minimum of calories that is recommended, that just seems like a mountain to climb.
A lot of times I just forget to eat.
Yeah.
Like I'll be getting moving in the morning. I don't drink coffee. I drink tea. So every morning I have my cup of tea.
We know he doesn't
then-
drink coffee during the week.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
I drink my tea and then I go do stuff in the garage studio, work on stuff. And then it's like 2 in the afternoon. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even have breakfast. And then I'm hungry and I'm dying and I need to eat. And then I have my one meal of the day and then go back to sleep.
Now, see, I'm a big cook. I love cooking, man. Like, I will cook rather than eat out all day.
See, I wait
That
till
makes
I'm
sense,
starving, and then the idea of cooking is like, oh no, that ain't happening. You know what I mean? And then you have to get fast food because it's so convenient. That's just honestly, that's just laziness. I need to cook, but yeah, when you wait till you're too hungry to cook, it's over. You going to McDonald's?
Yeah, I usually go for leftovers or a sandwich because it's not out of like a lack of desire for fast food that I won't eat fast food. It's out of a lack of money to do so.
You
I
live
gotta
too far.
I gotta save that money for tour fast food.
Yes.
I can't just be spending fast food money at home.
Yeah,
you know?
what do you eat on the road?
Oh, it's
God.
so bad because it's so.
Not a healthy diet. I would say.
No, yeah, because you could start the tour with a cooler, but there's only the maintenance on keeping a cooler going, like putting ice in it, and with the van's blazing half the time, and it's in finding Walmarts to get decent food and trying to cook things. We brought little skillets on the road trying to cook.
On our last tour, I will give a shout out to some fans of ours. Came out to Knoxville and gave us 2 $100 gift cards to Red Lobster. Then on our last big tour with Lonely Ones in October, we used them up and we thank them very much.
And
for
how
those.
big was a Red Lobster meal on tour?
It
was
It meant
everything.
a lot. We were saving it too. We were like sticking through all the terrible meals. Like
Yeah.
we don't want to blow this immediately. You
I
know.
thought I saw Seth drooling a little bit when you said Red
Oh, yeah.
Lobster.
Oh,
he was
yeah.
getting
Nice.
flashbacks to it.
Exactly.
love that
And
stuff.
other than that, like on that tour, I bought a box of granola bars at a Walmart that I was using to sustain myself throughout this whole tour. Then we got to Red Lobster, and I was able to actually feast. It was glorious.
Yeah, it's difficult because that's something with me is I like to feel like fed before a show. Like I could be hungry all freaking day. That's fine, all night. But before a show, you don't want to get up there like dehydrated or hungry. I mean, which is going to happen. And that's the worst time to try to find food is right before a show.
Oh, yeah.
You're at a venue, you can't move the van. It's like very inconvenient. Everything in walking distance is like not affordable on tour. And
Never.
yeah.
So they're not stocking your dressing rooms with food, the venues?
No, we give them, what do you call it? We give them our rider. One person has fulfilled our rider so far.
Yes, and all that was on was
Finger
a
foods.
cheese board and fruit, which we need fruit. I will give them credit. We do need fruit.
Yeah.
Here is the big question. You guys are going to make it big. I know it 100%. I will do everything in my power to assist you in that because I want to see 7 Year Witch headlining festivals and arenas. But
Thank
when
you.
you make it big, what's your reader going to say? What's going to be in 7 Year Witch's dressing room? What do you absolutely
Of course.
demand you will not play without?
Of course, just a case of water. That's a start.
That's very standard. Yes.
Standard.
Stay
doesn't need to be
hydrated.
doesn't need to be a particular brand or anything.
You're
Smoothie
not
King.
snobs. 7 Year Witch, you're not snobs.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I say Smoothie King. I know people say that Smoothie King's actually gross. I don't care. I like it. I want that in there.
Oh goodness.
Beef jerky
Beef jerky
peppered.
is actually very nice. I like peppered
of
beef
the peppered
jerky.
variety. Yeah. Kind of wake you up
goodness.
a little bit.
I think the band likes beer. Beer's got to be on there.
Yeah.
What
A
kind
keg.
of beer?
Yeah.
A keg?
A keg of something. Yeah.
That'd be fancy, yeah.
What if we were like, we demand something local? We demand some
I
local
want a
beer.
postcard from whatever city we're in.
Yeah. We demand a local beer at every show.
Local brewery
Yeah.
sponsors the dressing room.
Yes.
Exactly. That's actually clever.
Yeah.
No, it's got to be kept at a certain temperature or anything like that.
We'll drink warm beer. We don't care.
Yeah.
No, I mean like the room temperature.
Room
Oh, the
temperature.
room temperature.
You know what? You guys keep the small house at your place. You keep it at 69 degrees, which is funny, but it's actually
Hey-o.
it's perfect. That's
Yeah, it is
actually
very nice.
You could throw on a light overthrow thing, whatever you call those.
Yeah,
Snuggie.
exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe what's the furniture got to be like? You got to have some good sitting areas.
Enough for us to sprawl out on to take a nap because
Yeah.
sometimes we don't sleep in the van.
Yeah.
Well, we attempt to sleep in the van, but we don't actually get REM sleep.
You know what? There would be two green rooms. There would be the green room, and then there would be the actual green room. Because what the green room turns into is just our friends that show up, come and hang out with us in the green room, and then it just turns into a little hangout party sesh.
Exactly.
And then there would be an actual green room that's like hidden somewhere that we
Exactly.
actually go to
Where
get
we can
away.
take our naps, play Nintendo Switch, and just chill.
Yeah. Because like Porter even asked that, like when we played Center Stage, like so many people ended up in the green room.
Somehow, like 30 people ended up making our green room their green room. It's very interesting.
And he's like, yeah, don't y'all usually like try to chill before the show? And I was like, it's fine, but yeah.
I don't know how that started, but it was like knocking over one domino, and then all of a sudden,
I think the
Something
other
crazy.
bands started hanging out in there, and they were like, "Oh, this room's more fun." They're like, we were doing, what were we doing? We were getting some rolly chairs and rolling around or some shit.
yeah.
Yeah.
We had a competition to see who could. There was a bunch of rolling chairs, not unlike these that we're sitting in currently, in that green room, and a desk on one side of the room, and we were trying to see who could push off of that desk and get the furthest. Then once everybody was like, "Okay, we're going about the same distance," it was like, who can get out of the door of this green room? And it's a very long, narrow green room. And somebody finally did. I won't give away too much. We have a video on our Patreon of who got out that door first.
Yeah.
So
I'll go ahead and say it wasn't me.
it was not me either.
I didn't
so
get.
it was somebody else in our crew.
Did y'all like Center Stage? Y'all like playing that?
Oh, I love
Oh,
that.
I love
room.
that
Yeah.
place. That's where I saw Royal Blood for the first time, or the only time I've seen them. But I love that venue. I've been there so many times to see bands, and it's awesome to play there too. So.
And the first time I saw y'all play was Mad Life.
Oh yeah, that was a
Ugh.
fun one.
Yeah.
Man.
That's when Eddie Trunk.
Yeah, Eddie Trunk was there. That was surreal.
That was-
Fuck Eddie Trunk. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
We got
No,
Jackson here, man.
No. Respect Eddie Trunk. All the respect. All the respect.
Yeah, that was weird.
yeah.
That
That was fun.
Yeah, that was a real fun show. That was my first time ever there. I know a lot of people that have played there and play there frequently and said, yeah, it's an awesome place. And that was my first time ever being there as either a performer or a viewer.
It was classy.
Yeah. It was
I
very
like that.
classy.
Yeah.
Everybody's sitting down. That's a little weird for us. Everybody's sitting down, but
Yeah.
there were there was a nice quantity of people, so that made up for them sitting down. Yeah.
There's really kind of nothing worse than sitting down at a rock show. Like, I remember one time I went to the Coca-Cola Roxy. It was a Collective Soul show. And there were chairs in the pit area or like in the standing area. And then I went to see a ghost show one time, and there were chairs in the sitting area.
No.
Yeah.
You can't have a chair in a ghost show.
And I'm like, there were people sitting down at a ghost show, and I'm standing on the sides and all that, and where people are actually standing. And I'm looking at people sitting down, and I'm like, you know what you're at, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw Slipknot in a seated stadium type.
Oh.
That is sin.
It
That
was
is
strange.
pure
It was
sin.
I think it was the first Rockstar Mayhem Energy tour or something. Yeah, and we were sitting so far back, it was all seated, and like it was at the point where people were standing, but we were so far back, everybody just sat because it was like on an incline. And I was like, this is so odd. I'm watching Slipknot and I'm sitting down. I thought I would get my head beat in or something.
Gojira. When we
Yeah.
went to go see Gojira, it was all seated. Shout out to our friend Daniel from West Virginia that got us into that show. We went to go
Yes.
see Gojira. It was in Knoxville, an auditorium, all seats. It was and they're at an incline too, so you're standing with your feet like at a 45-degree
It
angle.
hurt, yes.
It hurt after a while, but I was willing to do that for Gojira.
I would never sit at a Gojira show or a Slipknot show.
Yeah,
First time,
we had to stand because everybody in front of us stood, so it was like we're gonna stand for Gojira, but that floor was not meant for standing.
First time I saw Slipknot, 2015. So drunk, my shirt came off, and I was playing my air guitar, and it was just, I love Slipknot, man. I love
I do
Slipknot.
too, absolutely.
We were at the Mr. Rogers statue in Pittsburgh when we found out Joey Jordison died. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was tragic,
terrible.
but also a nice, setting. It was
If we were going
It's
to
a
find
weird
out
conflict.
anywhere that it happened, I'm glad it happened. We figured out
under
there.
Mr. Rogers' watchful eye.
Yeah,
It was
kinda
it was
watched
kind of
out for us.
calming. He let us know
Yeah,
it's going to
yeah,
be okay.
He did.
Now we got a couple shows we're going to talk about here in a second, but I want to talk about this van because we talked about the van a lot while we were getting beers.
yes.
We've talked about it now. Is this like a big van, like a Sprinter van or a touring van, or
Heavens, no.
The goal is Sprinter van. That's the evolution. That's the next step.
you're
But
talking about 8 guys in a van smaller than a Sprinter van?
yeah, it's
Absolutely.
a church van, so it's a 15 passenger van. So it's
Ford E350
E350, yeah,
Yep.
and
kind of line.
Gas guzzler.
It is,
Absolutely.
yeah, especially nowadays. It's very difficult. But what's funny is we now travel with a trailer. I don't know how we did it any other way looking back, but we used to travel 2 bands, 8 people, 1 van with every bit of the gear in that same van we're referencing. It was so cramped. And it would be like 1 person on the floor, 1 person on the bench, 1 person on the floor, 1 person on the bench, and it was just so uncomfortable.
And then at one point, there was 2 people on one bench with their legs over the bench of the one in
That's
front
when your
of
legs
them.
go numb. That's
Yeah,
not good.
oh.
Yeah.
I remember my old band's drummer, Josh, asking
Oh.
our singer, who had the back bench all to himself, the longest bench because it gets the extra foot that isn't walkway. In the morning, he asked him, I will give you anything to please let me get at least 30 minutes on that bench.
Yeah. Gio would end up with the best seat. in
He
the house.
always ended up with that seat.
Now this, like now it's 5 guys, right, that share this van.
Yes,
Yeah,
we
uh-huh.
run with 5 people at the moment on tour, yeah.
And how close are each person sleeping to one another?
So we have 1 bench all the way in the back, which to me is, I think that's the primary spot.
It's not connected to the floor.
Yeah.
So it kinda
wobbles.
rocks.
Yeah.
And for some reason, if it's cold in the van, and it's especially cold in the back seat. If it's hot in the van, but it's especially hot in the back seat. So it does have its pros and cons. So we got the very back seat. Then we have a big mattress area, which just turns into a spot for pee bottles and bags and dirt. But that's
And everybody steps on it on their way to the back
Yeah.
bench. It gets gross with dirt and stuff, but we end up sleeping on it anyways because there's no other option.
2 people sleep there usually.
Then there's the front bench, which is immediately behind the driver's and passenger seat.
Yeah.
And then the driver and passenger seat, which somebody, usually Chase from The Thrill, who goes on tour with us, he'll make that work for his area.
Which I don't understand. That's
I
so
don't get it.
uncomfortable to me.
Yeah, and then I recently hung a hammock up in there, so I get that. Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you hang a hammock?
With luck.
Yeah.
With luck and ingenuity.
I'm trying to think of a 15-person van. It's like, it's not like tall, right? It's just
Not
long.
tall.
Now they make them tall now, which would be great, but they're very van-like. Yeah, you have to duck to walk in it, type of thing. And
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, are you dealing with farting.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Very
okay.
offensive farting. It's the
Okay, all
farting
this,
that
all
Foot
this.
smells.
It quits-
Aaron, God forbid, he takes off his shoes.
Yeah, when farts quit being funny and it's like it's like offensive, and you're like, dude, don't do that. That's awful.
Like the first 5 moments, like, oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Shit, man.
Yeah, there's been a few where it's like, you got to realize the reason I'm smelling this is because there's doo-doo particles floating in my nose. Like, this, stop, you know?
Yeah. So we're going to go on a crusade before our big tour in June, which is going to be 3 weeks living in that van in California and some of the hottest parts of the country. We're going to go on a crusade to try to make it as comfortable as possible, give everybody as much private space to themselves as we can, try to figure out how everybody can have their own little piece of real estate in there, and to make sure it's comfortable and, you know, good enough for 5 people to live in for 3 weeks without killing each other.
Now, where do y'all pull the van in to sleep?
It's a
varies.
gamble sometimes, because usually your truck stops are safe because that's pretty standard. People sleep at truck stops. Rest stops, I think rest stops are probably our most common thing.
Yeah.
But trying to sleep at a Walmart, that's getting more difficult because more Walmarts don't want that, especially the newer built ones. They'll literally have signs asking people not to do that and whatnot. But the ideal place to sleep to me is if venues aren't very far apart. Instead of, you know, driving throughout the night while you're tired just to get an hour down the road and have to find some sketchy place to park, if you can just sleep at the venue, to me, that's ideal.
Yeah,
It's-
and a lot of venues are very kind with that. There's one we played in Florida. They actually they offered it to us, but we were like, we'll take the van, you know, it's fine. They let one of the bands sleep in the venue, like on the pool table, on the floor, all that stuff. It was just up for grabs.
And this is what rock bands have to do to make it, huh?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
glorious.
Because
Man.
you can't go overboard with the hotel rooms, because as an opening band, if your guarantee is, because at the end of the day, Buck Cherry doesn't need a band to open for them on tour. You know what I mean? They will sell the same amount of tickets no matter what, whether they sell it out or, you know, come close. They're going to roundabout sell the exact same amount of tickets. It's really just like the booking agency needing to develop their other bands so there can be another Buck Cherry. They'll, you know, bring another band on this tour. So your guarantees are never great, because you're not necessarily even if you're contributing, bringing people, you're not holding a candle to what Buck Cherry's doing. So if your guarantees are never big. You know, even if we make a killing on merch, we might only make $250 to $300 opening the show with a 30-minute set. So that could very easily go to a hotel room that night. You know what I mean? So it's like, would you rather get a few hours sleep in a hotel room, or would you rather just keep the money and rough it in the van? And that's kind of the point we're at. Like, when we get to our breaking point, we'll get a hotel room, but
Mostly
we
for showers.
yeah. And we're at the point now we're all getting like Planet Fitness memberships. If we can shower on the road, that's half the battle. I mean, I sleep good in the van. So if I can clean myself in a shower, I'm fine.
You can get 3 members of your band a premium membership at Planet Fitness for the price of one OK motel. You can get that membership for, you know, the whole month. And that would be one night at a hotel.
There's Planet Fitnesses everywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what our friends, the Lonely Ones, do. You know, they all have Planet Fitness memberships. They just park outside of those. They let them park outside of
yeah,
Planet
because I mean, they're
Fitness.
24 hours. Those people
Yeah.
expect cars in the parking lot.
Yeah,
at
you
all
wake
hours.
you wake up, take a shower. You can, you know, do everything you need to. They have massage chairs. I mean,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah.
And that's all. You get your whole band in there for a whole month for the price of one motel.
Yeah.
One night at a motel.
Are you at least being respectful and using some of the weights while you're in there? At least doing a couple curls, maybe a
Exactly,
bench
yeah.
Yeah,
press.
we'll see. We'll see.
Oh yeah, I'll hit the treadmill for a second.
yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Go a half mile and be like, whoo!
Mm-hmm.
All right, shower time.
That's enough
Yeah,
for me.
right.
All right.
Now,
Now, Jimmy,
I imagine it does get pretty smelly in the van sometimes.
it do, and we
Yeah.
go nose blind to it, and it's a little embarrassing.
There's
because,
a natural smell to it that
Yeah.
you know we could Febreze the hell out of it
And
all we
that-
want. It's still there.
We were talking about this, and I this is a word of caution to any band considering this. I hope no one's considering this. The reason we make such good time sometimes, we're a very early band to arrive. We'll get there like, you know, an hour before our load-in time. But I think a big part of that is because we don't take a lot of bathroom breaks. We will pee in bottles. We are like pros at that.
Yep. Take
there-
gallon jugs on tour sometimes.
There's like, I mean, even we did one show over this last weekend, and there was like 40 pee bottles because we do not stop to use the bathroom. But I think it was Aaron suggested maybe making some type of some type of way to take a dump in the van. And I'm like, look, that cannot happen because
that's a step too far.
When you fart in the van, it's like a gas chamber. Imagine if you took a doo-doo in the van. That has to be for absolute emergencies because the van will never bounce back from that.
Never.
You smoke.
It's carpeted. That like ferments in the. It sticks.
You smoke a few cigarettes in your car, it's going to basically be there till you sell it. If you take a doo-doo in your van, it's not going anywhere.
Even if you get the smell, just knowing it happened, you're like, that's where the doo-doo happened.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Exactly.
And I could see an emergency bag with cat litter in it or something for like and see, that still wouldn't work because if it was an emergency, it's going to be all water. And that's not going to work in a bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd rather pull off on a deserted exit, the side of the interstate, and make them go outside, whoever it is.
I'd rather just put on a diaper. We need to bring a thing of diapers. And if you got to doo-doo that bad.
Hell, I just wait till I get home. My stomach be damned.
I mean, I can hold it, but there's been a few times where I'm like,
Yeah, no, there's some god-awful venue bathrooms that have been defiled by 7-Year Witch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So y'all got this tour coming up with Buck Cherry.
Yeah.
That you're very, very excited about.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
you are
Preparing
playing
for it.
Whiskey a Go-Go.
Indeed.
Yes.
Very much looking forward to playing that storied stage.
Yes.
So many famous and infamous moments have happened on that stage. I look forward to it.
Yeah, and our new management, they're very keen on getting. I think our manager Larry Mazer, he kind of put it this way. He's like, not a lot of labels are signing rock bands, especially like they used to. But he's like, but a few are, and he said this would be a great opportunity. We're in LA. There's a lot of guys that hang out there and are willing to come there anyway. He said this would be a great chance when you guys go there. I can make some calls and get some people out to see you guys. And to me, I'm like, this is like a perfect storm. Like, it's not like we're just going out there to play the whiskey. It's like we're actually getting to open up for like a platinum selling band. This is to me just a perfect storm. It's a perfect place for something like that for those type of people to see us. So, yeah.
And regardless of that, there's going to be people there. And where there's people, we play. We give them all we got. And
Aaron's got to make sure to stretch. He's got to nail the backflip.
Yeah.
watch that be the one time he doesn't make the backflip.
Or he just forgets. Yeah.
No, the thing about y'all, I'm so surprised at how nice you guys are.
Oh, thank you.
Oh,
You
thank
guys are so sweet. It's unreal. And I told my wife that because I remember when y'all got on stage at Mad Life, I'm like, you are never going around any of them because you guys, you take the sex appeal on stage and it shows. And then I was worried because I hadn't met y'all yet, and I'm completely saying this from the first time I saw you, I go, oh, they're probably gonna be douches when I meet them because y'all just have so much personality on stage and you're so confident and that comes through. And then I met you guys at Center Stage, talked to you briefly, and I go, oh, they seem nice. And then I meet y'all today, and I'm like, you guys are just the sweetest.
Yeah. I can't bring myself to be mean. No, I wouldn't.
Yeah, no.
It makes me mad when bands are like that. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Somebody put it this way. They were like, the bands that, that have made it, any big band, the Def Leppards, the Avenged Sevenfold, it doesn't matter. They're all cool. They did what they've made their statement. It's all, I mean, if they stop tomorrow, they good. They did what they came to do. The young bands rising up, they're cool as can be. Like they trying to make friends with everybody. But somewhere in the middle, people turn into assholes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they think they're here, but they're insecure because they're actually here. And I think we're, I'm not saying we're in the asshole stage, but I feel like we're not a band starting out, and we're definitely not a band that's made it. We do exist in that twilight zone of the middle, which is huge. It's a huge gray area. But that's where you can very easily turn into an asshole, I think, and think more of yourself or just be too demanding or something. And I think we temper ourselves and we keep ourselves in check. We try not to be like that. You know what I mean?
That's so true. Like, you're talking about the big bands. They're sometimes the nicer ones. Like, a couple stories, like Rick Allen at Def Leppard.
Mm-hmm.
So Yeah, Rick Allen. He comes in here, and I have an interview with him, and the studio's being used by our morning show, and I forgot we scheduled it during the morning show. So we go into this small studio over here, and Rick Allen and I have to share one mic, and we're sitting right beside each other, and we're sharing this one mic, and he was just so cool about it. I thought he was going to be like, "Fuck this, I'm leaving. I'm not," And he just sat there with me sharing this mic, and it was just like the coolest thing. We're like, in this very room, me and Rick Ocasek from the Cars before he died, we sat here and we just had like the coolest old conversation.
That's awesome.
And then he was in town, his art gallery. So he was a painter too at the end in his retirement.
Yeah.
So he had this showing at Phipps Plaza Galleria.
Yeah.
And so he's like, "Hey, would love for you to come be my guest tonight at my opening for my art gallery." And so I take my brother, and we're sitting backstage with Rick Ocasek for 45 minutes drinking wine and just shooting the shit. And I'm sitting with Rick Ocasek just drinking. He had this fancy ass wine, and he was like, he's like, "More wine, Jackson?" I'm like, this was hundreds of dollars, probably a bottle.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you write all those hits. You can afford those types of bottles of wine.
And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll take a little bit." And he's just like pouring it in a full glass and all that. And I'm just like, these people that have made it, that have nothing really left to prove, they're
cool as a cucumber.
They're so cool.
Yeah.
And it's
Love
like Dave Grohl stories I've heard of, like,
Exactly.
him interacting with fans. He's just so nice. Like, did y'all see him having that little drumming battle with Nandi Bushell, that 9-year-old?
I didn't see that. No, that's probably cool.
Oh, it was huge.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was huge. He was like doing back and forth over like Zoom or whatever with this like 9-year-old girl, like drumming prodigy.
Exactly, yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah, stories like that are cool as shit, and it makes you, when you're on a smaller level, if you get to experience something like that with a bigger band, that sticks with you, and you want to replicate that if you ever get into that same position. And there's somebody that looks up to you. Not saying there's anybody that looks up to us at this moment. We're
There are
still
bands that look
kinda
up to you, I'm
staring-
sure.
Yeah. There was one time we, the venue Pianos in New York.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a really tiny, just crappy venue in New York. And we had played there, but we were killing time before the show, and we were walking around Times Square, and I stopped, and I told the rest of the band, I was like, "I think that's the singer for Baroness." And I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but I love that band. And they were like, "What?" And I was like, he just looks so, I'm not saying he's the most unique looking person ever. I was like, I think that's him. I saw him from a distance. So I looked him up on Google. I was like, "Oh my God, that is him." Like, I matched the tattoos up and everything. I was like, I got to go talk to him. So I went up to him, totally interrupted his conversation with somebody. I was like, "Hey man, could I just get a picture?" I was like, "Are you John from Baroness?" He was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Could I get a picture?" He's like, "Oh, of course." And we took pictures with him and hung out for a second, and he was so cool. And I totally just interrupted everything he was doing. He was cool as a cucumber, though. And I was like, that's how I got to be. You know what I mean? Because, he's not in the biggest band in the world. But I was more shook meeting him than I would be Justin Bieber. I mean, this person actually, their art means something to me.
Yeah.
So, and I was like, the fact that that just made me such a bigger fan. Like, I was like, he took a moment to have a real connection, talked to me for a second. Wasn't annoyed at all, wasn't put off at all. Even his friend that was with him just backed off for a second. I was like, that was awesome. That's how you do it right there,
Where so many artists would have been like, "I'm having a conversation right now."
Yeah.
Can you, give
and
me
I
a
was
minute?"
being so awkward because I was fanboying. I was like, excuse me. Yeah, it was weird. But yeah, he was awesome.
Oh yeah, it's stuff like that really leaves a mark with you, and that if you ever get to be in a position like that, you want to replicate.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like we were saying earlier, you kind of owe your career in that sense to people that appreciate your art like that. If somebody that actually feels inspired enough to walk up to you in person and say, "Hey, I know who you are and I appreciate what you've done, art-wise, can I get a picture with you?" The least I can do for them is take a picture if I'm in that position.
No.
So that, no matter what mood you're in, whether or not you're talking to somebody, you kind of owe your livelihood to them.
Yeah, I was so struck. Our friend Porter, he plays with a few groups we're friends with. He manages a Barbaritos, and there's a few teenagers that work there that he's hired.
I love a good Barbaritos.
Oh,
Same.
And he was like, there's this kid there, man, and he thinks 7 Year Witch is like celebrity. Porter's our friend, so obviously he doesn't he thinks highly of us, but he doesn't see us as celebrity, by any means. But he's like, this kid, he's like, man, he said he went to one of y'all's shows and he was gonna come up and talk to y'all, but he was just like, he backed off last second. He was too nervous, and I was like, oh my gosh, that makes me feel so bad. I was like, this kid has no idea how normal we are. I'm like, it's not like that at all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
seriously.
God. And I told him, I was like, tell that kid, come up to us and shoot the shit.
Yeah.
And he could show up at our house, and we'd be like, come on in, bro.
We take what we do seriously, but we don't take ourselves seriously. So anybody that feels the need to walk up to us in person, remember that. Yeah.
Real quick, what's each of y'all's craziest story from the road?
Ooh.
Oh, heaven. There are no crazy stories. We're perfect angels on the road. What are you talking about?
It doesn't have to be necessarily y'all, something that y'all encountered. Maybe
I think of something
it was a venue.
There's a good one when before I was in the band, I went with them up to Canada just to help out and hang out. And the second we crossed over into the border from Detroit, we got into Windsor. The second we got on the road, there's some dude that just walked across the street, not even a crosswalk or anything.
Yeah, cut us off.
Yeah, he cut us off walking, and we slammed on the brakes. And he just looks at us with this shit look like
what? He's like, how dare y'all drive on the road?
yeah,
That
how
was the look.
dare you drive at the speed limit in this road with no crosswalk that I'm trying to walk across?
Yeah.
And then after he's done giving us this look, he keeps walking, and then a giant truck just,
Going at like 70 miles an hour.
yeah, just zooms by. Its side view mirror slams him in the wrist. He ducks over with it, grabbing his wrist because it just got hit by a truck going like 60 miles an hour. And that truck stops and starts yelling at him.
Yeah, and we saved his life if you really think about it, because the fact that he stopped to like gawk at us for a second, like looking at us like we're a bunch of assholes. Literally, like he was feet, like not even like a foot away from his life being over, from being like spaghetti on the side of the road. You know what I'm saying? Like he could have got so smashed. And I'm like, we really did save this dude. You don't even know it.
And he didn't even appreciate it.
And that was just us going into Canada, and we were like, what is this about to be like?
Oh, yeah.
This is...
y'all played in Canada?
We played there a few times, but it was really... That was when we were heavily in the DIY type of touring, like booking our own shows, which is a fun way to do things, but it's so much more productive to have a booking agent. But when you go DIY, if you want to go play in Canada, you go book a little dive bar up there and you go do it. And you don't wait around on somebody to approve something or this and that, and you go do what you want to do.
I was the only one with a passport too going into Canada. It's funny as hell. Going in, you would think it was the other way around, but getting into Canada, they were like strict, like because you can get in with like your birth certificate of something or something.
Yeah, they don't
legal.
want people to know that, but like if you have enough identification, they'll let you in.
Yeah,
but,
the border guard was like, "What?" He had a big old mustache. It was like dangling over his mouth. They're like, "What?" And then it took him longer to like make sure everybody was okay to come in. Then they pulled us over, checked the whole van or whatever. I had to pee as per usual, really bad. I was like, "Can I go pee?" And they're like, "We have to check your van first." I'm like, "I really have to pee." And then they were done checking the van. They didn't trust Seth's driver's license either because the picture was old and it was beat up. They're like, "This isn't you."
Yeah, they were
like,
bending it. They're like, "This isn't you." And I was like, "It is." And they were like, "Do you have another form of ID?" And I was like, I have like a Facebook. And they're like, "That doesn't count." And I was like,
yeah. And then it took them 15 minutes to go check that. And then they're finally like, "Okay, you guys can go." I was like, "Do you have a bathroom I can use, please?" And they're like, "You mean a washroom?" I'm like, way to add insult to injury. God. Anyways,
I'm not going to wash in there.
I went to the washroom, and then we were finally allowed in Canada, and that's where we encountered that one guy. And then coming back into the U.S., it was like 2 a.m. or whatever, and the border guard, there's no cars in line or anything, and we were like, okay, this one's going to be difficult because, half of us only have, birth certificates, not passports, so they're going to be a big deal. Anyways, we pull up. The U.S. border guard's like, "Oh, what's up? Are you a band or something?" And we're like, yeah. He's like, "Oh, cool."
No, he said, "Did y'all smoke any weed?" And we were like, "No." And he's like, "Well, why not? It's legal there."
Yeah, he was like giving us suggestions on strains of weed to try in Canada. He's like, "Dude, next time you come up, you gotta try this one." We're like, "You're a border guard." He didn't check he barely checked our IDs or anything. He was just like, Okay, who's this one? He looked in like, okay, I guess that's you. It's fine. That being said, I did find a bag of weed on a Walmart. I'm sorry, a McDonald's floor in Ottawa. I did nothing with it because I'm not one who partakes in such things. But
You don't smell the devil lettuce. No,
yeah,
no, let's
it
do
was an
that.
interesting story, an interesting find.
We did this. This was a huge mistake. We're so stupid sometimes. We went to park at a parking meter, and it had a credit card in there. And we were like, oh, we can't put our card in. Let's take this credit card out. And then it was some random person's credit card. So we're like, all right, the good Samaritan thing to do would be drop this in a mailbox and let the postmaster figure out where it goes and this and that. So we sat it in the van with the full intention of just dropping this thing off somewhere. We totally forget about it. We spend the few days in Canada. We're coming back through, and then we're like thinking, all right, is there anything weird in the van they might say something about that we picked up as like a souvenir, yada, yada, yada. And then I was like, oh, shoot, we got that dang credit card that's not ours floating around in this van. I don't know if that's a big deal. And because we didn't even know to what extent they would search the van. And we were like, should we tell them? Should we not tell them? And I think that we had deduced it would be better to tell them and let them know, even if it's a little weird to let them know, than them just find it and then have to explain why we have some random person's credit card. You know what I mean? So we pulled up and Aaron, he started trying to explain it to the lady, but it was like one of those things like when someone talks and then someone talks at the same time and you both kind of stop. And then you both go again at the same time. And then and it was like she went to say something and he was like, yeah, so we have this. And they both stopped. And then they started again at the same time. I was like, oh, this is so bad. This isn't working.
Even worse as it goes on.
And I think we had told them, like, we found a credit card that was in the thing and we took it out and we left it in our van. We shouldn't have it, but we do. And they were like, all right. And then they made us like come inside this building and they like literally like patted us down and stuff. And then we got a chance to explain the credit card thing, and they were like so confused. They were like, "Why didn't you just like put it on the ground?" And we were like, "I don't know. What do you do with it? I don't know. I don't want somebody bad to get it." And they just took it, and then they let us go on our way. But it makes me so nervous going through these like checks and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Like it makes me feel like I'm doing something wrong.
I could get pulled over. I got pulled over for speeding, and it was my first ticket ever. It's the first. I am the like most vanilla person. Ever when it comes to that stuff. But I got pulled over speeding. I was like, oh, God, you would have thought I had like a bag of cocaine in my car. And I'm like sweating bullets. I'm like, oh, fuck. Oh, they're going to get me. I'm going to jail. And like, I just think the worst thing's going to happen. It's like when I go to the doctor to get a checkup. I'm like, oh, they're going to tell me I got cancer of the liver. I got cancer of this and that. Yeah. And it's like everything's wrong with me.
Mm-hmm.
So I get that.
I don't like that. Yeah. I always just feel like I've done something wrong and I just don't realize. Like there's some parking ticket that I forgot about and there's like a warrant out for my arrest or something.
The same way.
Yeah.
Oh God!
But then I would go to jail and I'd get the cool little mug shot and then that could be some album art or something. Yeah,
somebody would sell a copy of that like 30 years in the future when you're dead and gone.
Yeah, shoot. Yeah.
Hopefully you don't die within the next 30 years.
How old would that make me? 50s?
Not that.
So yeah,
no.
60, almost 60. That's
okay. Yeah,
it's about right.
Yeah. You're almost out of 27, so
yeah,
you've missed the mark for the cool age.
Yeah, the cool kid. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you a story. And this is y'all are the first ones that I've told this to outside of my family. There's a friend of mine that's wanted by the FBI, or a person that I was friends with for a couple of years. He's wanted by the FBI, and I'm like, when he disappeared, I'm like, oh, they're gonna come to my door. They're gonna ask me how I know him and all that. And it took 8 months. 8 months I had to sit around and wait. But on the 8 months, it was the day they came to my door. I opened the door, and everyone told me I was crazy. Like, Jackson, they're not coming. They don't give a shit about you. I go, they're coming. They're coming to my house, and I know they are. I know. 8 months later, I open my door. It's the FBI and the IRS. This is I live in a townhouse, like, with a big neighborhood of townhouses. And like, are you Jackson Heaton? I'm like, yeah, I'm Jackson Heaton. I knew exactly where they were when I opened the door. Like, I'm so-and-so with the FBI, and this is so-and-so with the IRS. I'm like, yeah, all right, what do you want? And so they're asking me all these questions about how I knew this guy. Me and this guy had gone to Vegas together and all that. But I didn't know anything he was doing illegal at the time. Yeah, I just thought I was going to Vegas, and we were hanging out or whatever. And they're asking all these things, all these questions, and then I realized, why I knew they came to my house, because his wife kicked him out. And he lived with me for like a month and a half in one of my old apartments. And I have this smart TV, right?
Yeah.
And he had signed into his Hulu on my smart TV. I had moved to 2 different places since that apartment that he stayed with me at. But it's a smart TV, so it keeps everything signed in on all the apps.
They pinged
it.
it.
Was his fucking Hulu that was still signed in on my TV that I didn't know about. And that's how they tracked it to my place, and they thought he was staying at my place.
They pinged the Hulu.
They pinged the Hulu.
Oh, goodness.
And I'm like, I got a visit from the FBI. How funny was that?
Oh my gosh. That's like this is a very long story that I'll condense.
I know, and I'm sorry I was so long with mine.
No, you good. But basically, there was a inheritance in my family gone wrong, which happens a lot the more I've talked to people about inheritances and stuff. Gone way wrong. And it involved me and my brother and my sister. And we, out of just anger and just disdain towards the situation, my brother wrote the Dr. Phil show. Not trying to necessarily get on the show, just venting to the Dr. Phil email. We got a hit back immediately from a producer that was like, can we speak with somebody on the phone about this? And I was like, oh my gosh. And my brother showed that to me. I was like, dude, because he asked me if it was okay to write him. I was like, yeah, I'll write him. I had no idea it was immediate.
Wait, was this going to end with you being on Dr. Phil?
No, it very well could have, but I don't know the entire process of it. But I told him, I was like, don't write him back. I was like, I don't want to. Because if we were to go on the show, we would have to come in contact with the people we had an issue with. I was like, I've cut them off. I don't want anything to do with that. You know what I mean? And the producer reached out again. They were like just following up, like very interested in the story, would like to hear your side of the story, would like to make contact. And I was like, they really want to pursue this. And I was like, I could very well swing this in some type of way. This is well before the Catch Me Outside girl. So I didn't have that to pull, inspiration from. But I could have swung that in some type of way, I'm sure. Some type of publicity. But it was one of those things I was like, if I'm going to be on TV, I don't necessarily want it to be about that because that could be kind of messy.
You could have propelled 7-Year Witch.
I could. There's a way to swing that. There is. But I was like, goodness, they were so on that. And surely they would have wanted to vet us and get in contact with the other side of the family, get everybody's side of the story, and maybe they would have lost interest. But the fact they were so on it, I was like, that is scary.
Isn't that amazing? We watch these shows every day, and all these families, all these participants have to go through what you went through. These backstories and all this investigation into it. There's so much that goes into it.
My heart sank when they wrote us back. I was like, I could very well, if I made this, it was dramatic as is, but if I painted it even more in a dramatic light, we could very well be sitting on that show. That is odd to me.
Good God, guys, we've been talking for an hour and 40 minutes.
It's flown by after
Is
this.
it really
has. Yeah.
Not including the beers beforehand.
I know. We didn't even have beer during the talk.
Yeah.
I know.
Good Lord. Can you imagine if we had beer during this?
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, this would be like a 5-hour podcast. Joe Rogan would have nothing on us.
Yeah. Watch the mics weren't even on the entire time.
I'm gonna go and listen back, and it's gonna be like no one was talking the entire time. That would be my luck, man. God,
Yeah.
I've had that happen on some things before.
We'd come back.
Get me started, man.
It happened to me once in a band. We recorded an album, and then the engineer called up. I was like, watch, he's going to tell us he lost all of it. Guess what he was calling about?
Oh, God.
Tragic.
I remember, who was it? Oh, I was doing a David Coverdale Whitesnake interview one time, and all the audio got lost and all that. And I have interviewed everybody, and so when I did interview David Coverdale, he kept calling me baby the whole time. And he ended the interview, was like, "I gotta go, Sweet Prince, but it's been fun." And I made everyone call me Sweet Prince because I was like, David Coverdale did.
Yeah.
I interviewed Brent Smith of Shinedown over my car speaker on my way down to the beach.
Really?
I was driving in my car talking to Brent Smith of Shinedown, and I'm like, That was one of the coolest things ever. Not because it was the best interview I've ever done, but I was like, I'm talking to Brent Smith of Shinedown while driving.
Yeah.
I had a roadie with me. I'll incriminate myself there.
Mm-hmm.
Had a roadie with me at the time. So I'm like, I'm talking to Brent Smith of Shinedown. I'm heading down to the beach for vacation.
Mm-hmm.
I was taking like a week vacation, and they're like, "Hey, I need you to interview Brent Smith." And I go, "I have to be in my car, man. I'm going on vacation."
Yeah. Was he cool?
Oh, it was great.
Yeah.
So cool.
He seems really cool.
That is awesome.
My first one, I've had 11 interviews go viral with big artists. My first one was Tobias Forge of Ghost, and that one was, that guy was cool.
So that must have been at the point when people realized who he was within Ghost. Because it wasn't at first, it was total.
Yeah, it was like with Slipknot. They did the Mass Hall and then everybody.
Yeah.
But it was because former members, the Nameless Ghouls of Ghost, were like suing Tobias Forge, and that's how I believe his
It was something about writing credit.
yeah, his image came to be because of the court stuff.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah, because I think all court cases are pretty much like public domain. Like if you've been to court, isn't that right? Like you can look up pretty much anybody's court case.
Yeah.
So I guess if somebody truly dug, they could find that.
That sucks to have your whole persona and your whole band be around people not knowing who you are, and then because of that, you get.
Yeah, I'm too selfish. I mean, if I'm doing it, I want people to know.
Oh hell yeah, I want the credit, man.
Yeah,
I'm not doing this just for like shits and giggles, or for the love of the game. I want people to know who I am.
Exactly.
That's something with Ghost. I think somebody was like speculating like very early on before they knew even who the singer was. They were suspecting that Dave Grohl was in the band.
Yeah,
or based
I
off some
remember that.
tattoo or something like that.
Oh, that's
that
funny.
would have been cool if like they unmasked all the ghouls and it was like all these rock stars the entire time. That would have been cool.
That's the thing about being on the radio. I'm like, it's not fair because like TV people here in Atlanta, like the news people or the weather people, they go out and they get noticed and all that. I'll be sitting out at dinner and I'm like, I wonder how many people in this fucking room listen to me, but they have no idea what I look like.
Exactly, yeah.
I can't get any recognition. I can't get any props. I'm not saying I want to like be like, heralded, but I'm like, there's probably someone in this restaurant right now that listens to me that has no idea what I look like. That pisses me off sometimes.
Oh yeah, I used to listen to talk radio all the time, and every now and then I'd be like, okay, I gotta know what Mark Arum looks like. Granted, he's on the news as the traffic guy. I don't wake up early enough for the traffic news, so I'm like, oh, what does Mark Arum look like? I'm like, oh, that's nothing what I thought he'd look like. So it is kind of fascinating when
that's like a Hawk and Tom. That's a morning show where I'm, in Anderson or just South Carolina. And I've made a point. I don't want to know I like the mystery. I know what they look like in my head. And I feel like if I see it, it just would ruin it all for me.
Well, isn't that the thing when people say never meet your idols? Because so I've met like some of my idols before and I've just been so disappointed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm
that
scared to meet
happens a lot.
Jack White. He's one of my idols, but I'm
Same.
like, what if he's a douche?
Two great albums coming out from him this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fear of the Dawn on April 8th and then Entering Heaven Alive on July 22nd.
Yeah, that dude, I think there's like 3 big innovators in like modern rock music and stuff. And he's one of them.
He is. He's a genius.
What he does, I have no clue how he thinks, how he does, how he comes up with the things he does. It's absurd.
We're going to have to
I
wrap
love
this
it.
up at some point, but I just want to talk so much more. I just want to talk so much
Same.
more. So we're going to keep talking for a second. What do y'all think about Machine Gun Kelly and his contribution to rock?
Oh, okay. That's a lot to
I
unpack
know
there.
nothing about this individual because I keep up with pop culture not at all. I don't
Okay.
keep up with pop culture. So I barely know who he is. You could show me like 5 pictures of male faces on the TV right now. I would not be able to pick him up, pick him
Seriously.
out of a lineup.
What is
not
that?
a clue.
What is that word you used at one time? Like it's an E word.
E word.
It's like when it's like when a president doesn't want to be a part of an investigation. What is that word?
Oh God, what is it?
It's been used in recent history.
I forgot.
Like you talking when a judge removes himself?
Yeah, what
from
is that called?
Recuse myself. I
You're like,
recuse
I
myself.
recuse
yeah.
myself.
I recuse myself from the Machine Gun Kelly conversation.
Okay, I have strong feelings about it, but I'm trying to think of how I can put it in the fairest way possible. I get industry plant vibes from him. You know what that kind of means. Like it feels like
He's being placed there.
somebody behind the scenes was like, "Oh, let's let him be the champion of pop punk or something like that." That's the vibe that's given off to me, is because he was such when I thought MGK, I thought of a rapper, you know what I mean? And then to do an entire genre, to move in genres entirely, and then it seems like a lot of people aren't taking to his genre change, and it seems like he's surprised by that or something, when there's these bands like, the Paramours and the Fall Out Boys and this and that, the true pop punk icons who define the genre, and then he just kind of like, plop, I'm up there with y'all now. You know what I mean? It feels misplaced and odd, but at the same time, in fairness, he's put out 2 albums under the pop punk genre, and I've listened to neither. I've only heard the cover he's done, The Misery Business, which I just did not like. But but that's me. So it gives me this industry plant feel.
I agree. Like him working with Travis Barker.
Yeah.
Kind of re-up vibing the Blink-182 sound and all that. And yes, he has not been in the genre a long time. And it seems like, whoa, where did Machine Gun Kelly come from? He was this rapper who had a diss with Eminem, and then all of a sudden, bam, rock star. Screwing Megan Fox and all that, and reviving her career by them being in the spotlight and then being friends with Travis Barker and who was it, Kourtney Kardashian, who Travis Barker's engaged to. So I get that, but I do respect him introducing rock to the younger demographics.
That's a
I
great.
will always appreciate that, and anybody to a certain extent,
Yeah, I can. That's the same thing we were saying about Greta Van Fleet. That's one angle I can never discourage. Is if somebody's turning a generation of people onto something that I'm into, you can't knock that. So
now, do I think he should have called out Corey Taylor and tried to piss off Slipknot?
Yeah.
No.
you don't fight Corey Taylor.
That was all publicity too. His team was genius for that.
Yeah, we've talked about in the past, if we could somehow get to a point where we could reasonably have a beef with Greta Van Fleet, not because we actually have a beef with them, but just for publicity.
That's all it was.
Yeah,
yeah.
Behind the scenes, actually hang out with them and drink beers all the time, but out in the public, be talking trash to each other for publicity.
Well, lead singer's got a small penis.
That type of stuff.
It's genius. I swear.
Blur and Oasis.
Yeah.
I thrive for that type of rivalry.
The worst thing Corey Taylor did was respond to Machine Gun Kelly. That's what fed it. That's what.
Yep.
That's what Eminem did as well. If he would have just acted like that person wasn't even on his radar. Yeah.
Yep.
Because it was so funny. Machine Gun Kelly's his rap diss track was him standing in a wife beater eating a bowl of Cheerios or something, and he's making all these this weird song. He's like, fucking beer's weird. Both boys from the Midwest. And he's eating his Cheerios or his oatmeal or something.
Yeah.
And it was just if Eminem hadn't said anything, it just would have gone away. But hey, good on Machine Gun Kelly for, getting the props, getting the publicity.
Excellent publicity. I'll give him that. Excellent.
The music business is fucking weird.
Oh, yeah.
It is weird.
It's an entertainment industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to entertain, even if it's off stage, totally unrelated to music.
And this, I wanted to bring this up earlier. Isn't it kind of shitty for the genre, for music as a whole? Whereas, back in the day, they got famous for playing their music.
Yes.
By, going on talk shows or playing at sets. And, if someone wanted to see Jimmy Page and if they wanted to see Zeppelin, they didn't. The only time they could see them was if they were on a talk show being interviewed in Rolling Stone, or you went to their show.
Yeah, Jimmy Page wasn't making 5 TikToks a day.
Can you imagine if Jimmy Page or these people back in the day had access to videos like that, and you could see them backstage?
Yeah.
Somebody's told us that before. We've heard that from 2 people, and I think there's some truth to it. Is that there's this exclusiveness to other bands that we don't tap into that. It's like at our shows, we're hanging out. You don't have to pay to meet us. We're hanging out at the shows. And that's why some people come and they might chat our ear off if they're a really big fan and they've never met us. But I've had people before be like, hey, you guys would be, I think it would add to your image if you didn't hang out before the show. That's why a lot of bands, they might look like, assholes sometimes, but they're really just working on their exclusiveness. You really do have to wait for that moment just to even see the band walk on stage.
It's science.
They're not chilling at the bar before the show or whatever. And that's tough to do because it would be very difficult to sit in our van until we played.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like we were saying with the farts and the piss bottles.
The mystique.
The mystique's tough. And especially trying to just play ball now, you got to stay on top of your social media and stuff like that and have a personality online, because if you don't, somebody else is.
Yeah.
And it's tough to balance having any type of mystique and staying on top of everything.
You got to make people feel a connection with you outside of just a pure musical connection. They have to, understand you as a person, feel like they know you as a person.
Yeah.
As we said, what you do on stage is a small percentage of what you are as a band.
Absolutely,
It's
yeah.
the tiniest.
You could be playing killer live shows, But if another band that, is similar to you or whatever, if they're more active on socials or online, that band's getting more, seen more than you are, and people are discovering them more, even if you're putting on great live shows.
Yeah.
Most of our fans, I think, still haven't seen us live because they only know us online. And it's a matter of, like, we haven't been to where they live, or, we haven't been close enough to where they can actually come see us live. But they, see us online and appreciate us and actually, keep up with us. We have fans in Australia and Germany that, like, will comment on stuff all the time. We get all the come to Brazil messages and stuff a lot. But, it's, I guess that's a positive side of online is you can make fans in these places before you ever go
reach
there.
someone on different parts of the world.
Yeah.
It's
That's
amazing.
like Be at the Means. I don't know if you've ever listened to them at all, but they're from Birmingham or somewhere in Alabama. And they were just the most incredible live band. But it's like they couldn't be bothered to, I guess, attack the online angle. And so it was just always a shame to me because live, when people saw them live, their jaws were on the floor. I mean, this was an incredible live band. But like, I'm like, it's playing ball in this modern day, you have to just care to some degree about what you put online, because I swear if there was somebody like us just in charge of running Be at the Means online stuff and just posting a few things a few times a day on various different platforms, I think that would have exploded. I mean, I don't know to what degree, but if it was just there to ingest, people would have ate it up,
One of the things we did on one of our last year in July with Adelita's Way, we were on tour. We did a 72-hour live stream of our tour just on TikTok, riding around, and people would tune in and out, but there were a few people that were there the entire time.
72 hours straight live
Yep,
stream?
watching us sleep and everything.
Holy crap.
I had a fan in Australia named Taylor watch the whole thing. I sleep talk at night, so when we got... It was a weird period in the tour where we actually got to sleep at home for once, so we slept at the band house, and I set up the live stream right in front of me. I fell asleep, and she's in Australia, so it's daytime for her. She stayed up and waited for me to sleep talk.
Oh, my
Just while she
God.
was doing her work throughout the day, she was watching our live stream,
Yeah.
and eventually I started sleep talking and going crazy, and she kept track of it.
I was like terrified to do the 72-hour live stream at first. I'm like, we're going to have to really watch what we say. Not that we're going to say anything that bad, but you don't want to obviously offend anybody or anything like that. And
Or be gross.
yeah, anything. But it ended up being so much fun.
It really was.
I wasn't worried about saying something crazy or doing something gross. It was it's like when the camera's there, you realize it, and you're not being. I just thought it would get in the way, but I actually enjoyed when I would have my time with the camera. I would just, if I'm driving, I'd sit the camera down. I'd have like 13 people just sitting there, just watching. I guess they're just into it, just hanging out with them.
Yeah.
So.
It was a lot of fun, and we will do it again at some point. The original idea was to do a whole tour live streamed, like from beginning to end, the whole tour, every second that we're awake, live stream it.
A lot of bandwidth.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nobody's phone could handle that.
Oh yeah, our phones are all trash.
I'm on Cricket. There's no way.
Yeah, I have an Android, so there's no way. Yeah.
Wow. That's putting yourself out there. 72-hour live stream.
Yep.
Yeah.
People watching you
and
sleep.
everything, Yeah.
What was the guy's name?
Droogie,
Droogie. Yeah.
big old Megadeth fan. He
Yeah.
was there the whole time.
Entire time.
Taylor in Australia, Ashley in Virginia Beach. Those were some of the big ones.
There were some people that would hang out. They hung out for the longest time, but then they didn't stay for the finale.
Yeah, exactly.
They didn't make it. Yeah.
Here's something I want to ask you that it's taken me an hour and 45 minutes to do. What's your favorite bands? What kind of music do you like?
Goodness.
My favorite band that's similar to us, I'd say, is this band called the Parlor Mob. And I'm actually not too sure how active they are. Have you ever heard of them before?
Oh.
They're from New Jersey. I really suggest checking them out. They're a 5-piece, and it's
Parlor Mob.
the Parlor Mob, yes. And it's kind of in the vein of Greta Van Fleet to some degree, but it'll give you some White Stripes vibes, some Jack White type vibes and stuff like that. Love stuff like that. I'm personally a huge fan of Mastodon. That's a huge one for me since I've been in high school.
Ron's been on the podcast.
Braun has? Oh my goodness, I love him. Yeah, that's like one of my drumming heroes. So. Yeah, I met him one time and I ruined it. It was so bad.
I'll tell you my Bron story after we do this.
Okay.
Oh yeah. I'll explain a few and then just give a speed round because they're I don't listen to a lot of bands, but like the ones I do, I listen to. Like I'm not a big one on once I like my things, I don't really explore outside of that. It takes a lot for me to get into a new band, but growing up, big ones for me that got me into it were AC/DC, Zeppelin, of course, Van Halen, a lot of the classic rock. Now, as I grew up, I got into more modern rock and expanded my horizons and stuff. A lot of those bands include, of course, Jack White, the White Stripes, anything he's in, the Raconteurs, Queens of the Stone Age, Foo Fighters, Arctic Monkeys, Oasis, what else?
Has Muse not come up?
Muse is one of my favorite bands ever. I will fight anybody that doesn't
Love
like
their
Muse.
latest Won't Stand Down. It is some of the best guitar from them.
Dude, so heavy.
Yeah. Definitely one of the heaviest songs they've ever done.
That band single-handedly kept me playing music when I was like 16, you know. I was like, you know, maybe it's time for me to, you know, go down a different path, you know, maybe get like an actual job, you know, because I'm not really doing much in music or whatever. Then that's when Muse Live at Rome Olympic Stadium came out on their Second Law tour, playing in front of 90,000 people. It came with a Blu-ray and a live CD. I found it on YouTube, and watching that concert single-handedly made me go, that's what I'm going to do. I don't care. I've got to do that. I'm going to keep. It made me like tingle in the face. It still makes me giddy to watch it to this day. So whether or not I thank or blame Muse for doing this is still to be seen. But right now, it seems pretty thankful vibe. Yeah, Muse is a big one. Yeah, and there's just endless names I could say.
Yeah.
But those are, if I said them now, those are the big ones.
For me, I am heavy metal, death metal, speed metal. Like really into this band right now called Lorna Shore.
Oh,
Okay, so they've, from what I've understood, they've exploded lately.
Oh yeah.
They went, you know, I think they had a show at the Masquerade. They had to keep upgrading the stage because there was so much demand.
Yeah, they're
or
playing
something like that.
Lollapalooza too, and
And they're heavy. They're very heavy.
oh, dude,
Yeah.
Will Ramos, the singer. Listen to the Hellfire. It's off their latest EP.
That's probably the one I heard.
What
Yeah.
he does with his I mean, like,
Demonic.
it is just like the heaviest shit I've ever heard in my life.
Okay, tell me if I got this right, because I think I have so many people on my Facebook I don't know, because when the band was developing, I would go to all these different groups and stuff and just add so many random people just to try to get my stuff seen on Facebook. So, but I got a lot of like guys that are into the hardcore stuff on my Facebook, and so I think I got to kind of see a little bit of Lorna Shore when they were first like developing and really coming up. They've been through two singers now, right?
Yeah. Will Ramos came in
And then
2021.
Was there somebody else other than those two?
No, I think it was just he's the second singer.
Okay, something happened with the first singer. I don't think it was like some crazy controversy, but something happened. And everybody was talking about like if you have to go through some type of big change in your band, to pay attention to how Lorna Shore handled that. I'm not exactly sure how they did, but apparently they handled this big change in the band, which is your singer. I mean, it's one of the most vital parts of your band. They handled it so well to like have the momentum they have now after changing their original singer. That's just crazy. But
There are a lot of bands whose second singer, you don't even remember the first.
Yeah.
Thinking about Bruce Dickinson, Iron Maiden,
Yeah.
George Corpse Grinder Fisher with Cannibal Corpse.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was one before.
Oh, yeah. Slipknot.
What was
Right
that?
Wait, what?
Anders. His name was like Anders something.
Yeah.
I
know.
didn't even know that one.
Well,
Yeah.
the only original member left in Slipknot, I think, is Clown. I mean,
Really?
if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken.
Damn,
yeah.
I thought as integral as Corey Taylor is to the whole operation, I thought he was like original.
Yeah,
I
they had
mean-
an album called like Mate, Feed, Kill, Repeat, and it was like a lot of different people in the band.
I mean, AC/DC have had three singers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many bands. I was listening to this the other day. I was listening to a series of, the greatest second singers of all time. There's so many bands. Oh, I want to do a podcast on that sometime. I am doing
That'd be awesome.
a podcast pretty soon with a 3-person panel. 3 different members from 3 different bands here in Atlanta. We're talking 90s metal.
Ooh,
Okay.
that
Yeah,
sounds
yeah.
awesome.
Oh yeah, it's
I'm gonna
gonna
have to tune into that.
Yeah, it's gonna be this cool panel discussing and all. It's gonna be great. But my biggest thing that I go to, my favorite bands are probably the big 4.
Oh, yeah.
Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, Anthrax.
Who's your favorite of the big 4?
Metallica is probably in my top 2 favorite bands of all time, but Slayer is my favorite band of the big 4.
All right, let me get your opinion. Okay, so the album, I don't even know how to pronounce it. Diabola something in Musica, whatever.
Yeah.
Is that how you say that? I have no idea.
I don't know.
But they had, okay, so that's when Dave Lombardo had stepped away from the band, I think.
Yeah.
And my dad had that album when I was a kid on a CD, and I like took it and was listening to it, and I fell in love with it. I thought it was awesome. That was the only Slayer I ever knew for the longest time for some reason. And but now looking online, people don't really seem to like that album. They thought it was a weird misstep in their career because it's not as thrash or whatever. I loved it. I thought it was great.
Slayer, man, I just want to melt. But I'm the kind of guy too. Maybe I'm a little weird because I would love to have like Lorna Shore to the Hellfire, that scream of fucking heavy.
Yeah.
I would love to be sitting in a dark room with strobe lights going with that music playing. It's calming to me.
Yeah.
It's so. And then Pantera, of course.
Duh, yeah.
Motherfucking Pantera.
You can't beat Pantera, dude.
There is something.
I got Dimebag on the wall of our home studio, man.
And of course, Phil, a second singer of Pantera.
Yeah.
He was not
Yeah,
the
he is.
original.
I didn't know
Power
that.
Metal was his first album with them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
I think Dream Theater is a second singer band. That's not their original singer.
There's a lot of these.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe next time y'all come on, I'll save this segment for the next time y'all come on
Yeah.
because we know y'all are going to be back.
We'll do the second singer.
Yeah. And here's my Brian Daylor story. I
good,
swear,
yes.
we're almost done. We're almost done.
Dude, I could go all night.
So I was getting paid for a year by a production company while I was working here at the station to MC concerts once a month at the Claremont Lounge, the strip club here in Atlanta.
Oh, yeah.
And dumbest thing ever, they did not need an MC because people that are going to the Claremont Lounge, it's a nostalgia place, right?
Yeah.
The Claremont Lounge is, it is a landmark.
So is that the place they're not going for like strippers? They're going for like different types of strippers.
They're going for the nostalgia of the
Yeah.
strippers. It's like, it's like Blondie, who's got the huge tits.
yeah.
Yeah.
That,
Crushing
she
cans.
crushing beer cans. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this production company was doing once a month concerts there. So they paid me, $100 cash to come out there at night, which I'm really only taking $60 home because it was $20 for the Uber there, $20 on the way back. I did have my own bucket of PBR that said Jackson's PBR every time I went. That was fun.
Okay.
And of course, the way I gave back to Claremont, because I'm a man that, I am a generous man. I am a charitable man. My way of giving back was getting a lap dance before I laughed every night.
Yeah.
I give back to the people. Right?
Exactly.
And so Brian Daylor's wife is playing that night. I can't remember what her.
It's not Kitty.
No. I can't remember. It's like the same word twice.
I've seen it before. I can't remember. Yeah.
And so I'm emceeing that show.
Now look at
And then I'm like, shit, that's Brian Daylor. And so I just, go up and I start talking. And I'm like, hey, man, big fan of Mastodon. Y'all are making Atlanta so proud, doing big things. And I was like, would love to have you on my podcast. By the way, being on the radio gives me, it gives bands a little more, not eagerness, but they're more okay with saying yes to coming on and interviewing with me, saying, I work for Rock 100.5 and I have a podcast. And so we go do, we did a live podcast at Scofflaw Brewery, who sponsored the podcast. We just did this live thing, got smashed while doing the interview. And then he's like, hey, man, we got a show at Coca-Cola Roxy. You're on the list. You're backstage. And I'm like, this is awesome. And so I take a buddy of mine, big Mastodon fan, get to Coca-Cola Roxy. He never put me on the friggin' list.
Oh no!
I get there, and I'm like, yeah, we're on the Mastodon backstage list. They're like, no, you're not. And I'm like, you get in touch with Brian Daylor.
You tell Brian I'm right here, right now.
And then, of course, they had just some fucking runner or something come up and pretended like he talked to Brian. And he's like, yeah, sorry, we can't get you on the list tonight, but here's some tickets.
Oh my goodness!
And then I emailed him, and he emailed me. He's like, hey, never saw you backstage. And I'm like, but I tried. And then I let it go from there. I let it go. I hold no hard feelings towards Brian Daylor because I know being that big, you got a lot going on too.
Especially a hometown show.
I'll give you my quick Brian Daylor story. This one's hilarious. I was in high school, and like me, I don't know like how popular Mastodon was with like high school age kids back then, but me and my group of friends, we were obsessed with Mastodon. Like I like literally would like take fashion ideas from Brian Daylor. Like I wanted to be like him.
That's how it
And-
was with the Arctic Monkeys.
Yeah, I freaking love that dude. But we went to go see him. Me and my dad, my brother went to go see him, Mastodon, at the Music Farm in Charleston. And when we were walking out of the parking garage, where they parked the vans was actually kind of like part of the parking garage, which was kind of weird to me. And we saw Braun walking from somewhere back to his, did I say van? I meant bus. Yeah, they're not in a van. But he walked into his
Braun's
bus.
not in a van.
Yeah. And so he was walking back to his bus. And my dad was like, he's like, there's Braun. Do you want to meet him? You want to meet him? I was like, no, it's all good. It's all good. And he was like, no, we're going to meet him. And then he was like, Braun. My dad was like, what's his thing? Like looking like a dad with his like white New Balances on and his socks, like running to there waving Braun down. And Braun, I'm sure the man's a busy man. He was not, I don't think he was necessarily trying to hang out right there because he was at his bus trying to get the door open, trying to get away from us like we're zombies. And like, I guess whatever was going on, because it was like a school bus door. So like he couldn't like pull it open like he was trying to do. So he turned around and he hung out with us for a second. But I was dumb and in high school, and so I'm just so giddy and excited. There was this YouTube video of Braun at the Guitar Center drum-off playing a piece of music with Danny Carey of Tool. Now, just because it was at the Guitar Center drum-off doesn't mean it was a drum-off. It was not a competition. They were just playing music together. The drum-off was later in the night, but I'm dumb, and I was like, oh, that was like a drum-off. And I went up to him, I was like, dude, fuck Danny Carey. Like, you played so much better than him. He's like nothing. And then he was like, Danny Carey's like a pretty good friend of mine. He's like, that wasn't really like a competition or anything. And I was like, oh, well, yeah. But I mean, like, if it was, like, you were like way better. And he was like, yeah, sure. And then we took a picture with him. And I was like, I butchered that. I'm going to stop talking.
Hopefully we'll be able to redeem that.
I don't think he'll remember me. Like,
Exactly.
I if he does remember that, which I hope he doesn't, I hope he's met a lot of
definitely
stupid people. But yeah,
You're good.
yeah, I think I can start
We'll make up
fresh.
for that.
Yeah.
You know,
As
I
long
really,
as you don't remember it.
I really respected about Braun when he showed up to Scofflaw for our interview. He showed up in an Uber X. He didn't show up in an Uber Black. He showed up at a Nissan Sentra, dropped him off.
Yeah.
My dude's a multi-millionaire, and he's
Yeah.
taking an Uber X.
See, I drive for Uber X sometimes, so that would be hilarious.
Yeah.
It's like, it'll tell you the name of the person. We won't tell you anything else but their name. So I guess you have the slightest idea of what to expect. If I saw Braun, I'd be like, oh Lordy.
I'm taking this one.
Ron, will you listen to my demo? Oh, my gosh.
Oh, God.
I've definitely been that kid at a show. You hand your demo to one of the opening bands. That's
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Who hasn't every band done that at some point?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
My old band did that with Rival Sons. They played at Masquerade.
Love Rival Sons.
Yeah, we Chase, once again from the Thrill and CEO, our old band. He walked up, he bummed a cigarette from the singer, and he was like just trying to like make conversation. It's funny as shit.
I wouldn't have had the strength to do that because he very well could have said no. That would
Exactly.
have been scary.
That's the worst he can do.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of the whole reason we're doing this, y'all have a show with the CEO coming up.
We sure
Exactly.
do. Yes.
I got to pull double duty that night because I'm
Yeah.
in both bands.
Mhm. I'm going to
but-
make sure I got the date right. Huh?
Yeah, April 23rd
Okay.
at 37 Main, Avondale. It's gonna be awesome. Got Silly Goose opening the show.
Yes.
I've heard only good things. I've not heard their music yet,
They're-
but I've heard they go hard.
An Atlanta local band. Yes.
Atlanta local band,
Yeah.
younger dudes. I'm excited to hear them. They,
Yeah.
all I've heard is that they kick ass.
Mhm.
So I'm excited to see that. And then us, of course. Then the CEO with Vinny Hornsby of Seven Dust
And
on
this
bass.
is like debut CEO.
Yeah, this is
right?
the first CEO show ever, and since the album, in its current form, and it's going to be a good one. This is one you do not want to miss.
Anybody that's listening right now, you know what we should have done? We should have, like, 'cause this is like 2 hours we've been doing
Yeah.
it. And we should have, like, by now, like, someone, like, if we were really rich, been like, hey, by the way, we're giving away $1,000 right now for anybody that has been listening for 2 hours.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yes.
you do get $1 trillion if you come to the show, but
Exactly,
like you got to
yeah.
go though.
You have the chance, if you come to this show, you have a chance of becoming the world's first trillionaire.
Yeah.
That's the most legally non-binding way we can, incentivize people.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's a chance all your dreams could come true if you come to the show.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm not gonna tell you how they correlate, But yeah.
Well, y'all know I'm going to be at that April 23rd show, even though my wife might be going into labor then. I don't know. So she's due May 8th on Mother's Day, but he's measuring 2 weeks and 4 days ahead. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Baby's first concert, dude.
Yeah.
Him out.
I mean, I got a shirt made for him that says, because they called me, I told you all they called me Atlanta's Rock Ambassador. Got a shirt made for him that says Atlanta's Little Rock Ambassador.
Oh.
That's cute as hell.
And I can't wait, man, to take him to shows and all that. Oh, it's going to be so cool.
You're gonna be that cool dad that I see at
yeah.
Iron Maiden shows with his like 5-year-old son walking around.
Oh, yeah. The thing I have to deal with, though, my wife this is my wife.
Oh, very pretty. Yes.
So I know I'm going to have to deal with, like, my son having, like, friends. It's like, oh, Cooper, your mom's so hot. And I was like, I know kids are going to say that. My wife is the best, man.
That's like my girlfriend's mom. Hey, everybody's after her.
We love us some Seth's girlfriend's mom. I didn't know if I should name her.
I can't say much.
Do both of y'all have girlfriends?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Indeed.
Long time? Long term?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are
4
we
years from now.
considering the next step at some point?
Indubitably.
Bo, I don't know if you are or not. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think many rock bands have used the word indubitably.
Oh, I use indubitably
That is
far
a great
too
word.
often.
That is a word.
Yeah.
You know what? Damn it. I keep trying to end this freaking interview, and then I keep coming up with things I want to talk about.
Exactly.
This is pissing me off.
Vocabulary is very important.
Yeah, don't even get me
Lost
started.
skills. I read a recent thing about lost skills, proper
Yeah.
grammar,
Exactly.
using long words, map reading.
Yeah,
Oh, I love math.
That's something that me and you talk
Huge map
about.
nerd. Yeah.
My vocabulary, I think you said yours too. Mine's gotten worse. I don't know when or how or why. I used to talk better. Like I don't know how to put that, but I used to, like, when I talked, I could use better words.
Oh, I have a timeline of when mine started to decline.
Yeah.
The peak of my vocabulary was the middle of 2020 because I was reading a lot. I had a lot of time. Then after a while, I just stopped caring. And then, of course, it was 2020, so you weren't going out a lot. And then I stopped. I wasn't talking to a lot of people. I wasn't exercising my vocabulary that often. And then it just started to decline harshly to the point where I speak worse than I did before 2020.
Yeah.
When my vocabulary, blew up exponentially.
It's one of those things. If you don't use it, you'll lose it, because, like,
happened
if
to me.
I have months I'm talking to people and I'm good and I'm social and the vocab's there, I go like a week without really talking to anybody. I get so clunky. I don't know how to talk.
I used to know
Weird.
what ferocity means. I don't know what
That's
that
a
means
dinosaur.
anymore.
I used to use words like ferocious. That's not a word.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a big word. Sorry, I don't know.
That's still a good one. I haven't heard that
I
in a
used
while.
to be
yeah.
more too. I used to dress better, and like now I'm just like, fuck it, whatever.
I'm trying to make a comeback. Yeah, I'm trying. Like I think you said this too. I want to. When I go out, I don't usually care about what I wear. But what's the fun in that? Wear your good clothes when you go out. You go into Walmart, everybody needs to think you cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I noticed when I got married, and especially now that I'm dead, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I'll go out, in sweatpants or just whatever. I'm not trying to impress anybody. I got a hot ass wife at home.
Yeah.
I got all that. I'm good.
You could put on the white New Balances with the white socks in the cargos.
And I know I'm
yeah.
going to be the corny dad making the corny jokes.
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
probably
That's the
be
beauty
like,
of it,
My
yeah.
son will be a teenage, and he'll be hanging out with his friends. I'm dropping him off. I'm like, "What's up, bros?
Yeah.
How y'all doing?"
That's something about fatherhood I would look forward to. Just being that just
Yeah.
painfully annoying dad.
Oh no, keep it cool, bros. Keep it cool.
Like Jimmy Neutron's dad.
Yeah, I haven't heard Jimmy Neutron
Yeah.
in years.
Oh
Oh,
my god.
that's a good show
I
right
miss
there.
that show.
I miss quality television of back in the day.
Same.
We had it good. We had it good growing up.
Yeah.
It's not the same now. I've tried. I've gave it a shot with these new cartoons. It's just not the same.
It's
really
really
not.
not. It's kind of tragic.
Old SpongeBob compared to new SpongeBob, it's not the same show.
Not
It's
the
not.
same. Really not.
Yeah.
I remember, watching. I watched the decline of Cartoon Network as a child.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was alive during the heyday. Those were my golden years as a child. And then as I started to get older, that's when they started pumping out this garbage. And I was like, I can't. It kind of forced me into adulthood.
Old shows of Disney like Boy Meets World, Smart Guy,
Yeah.
Even Stevens.
Yeah.
Y'all watch any of that?
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
Even
Yeah, those were
Stevens was
good
my jam,
stuff, man.
What was Recess on? That wasn't
that
Nickelodeon. It wasn't though, was it? You remember Recess? You don't remember that one? It was like one of those ones you didn't really see unless you called in or you were sick and you didn't go to school.
Yeah.
And it was on like PBS. It was PBS, I'm pretty sure.
Maybe. Yeah.
It was one of those like very like you miss school type of cartoons.
Yeah. I love those.
Like Cyber Chase.
I remember being sick with chicken pox, and I binge watched Ned's Declassified
School Survival.
Guide. Yeah,
Solid.
that was my jam.
Yeah, and I understand these networks got to change, and you can't keep doing the same thing forever. But it's just like it's painful to see those go. They're Ed, and Eddie. There's never going to be another Ed, and Eddie.
There will never be. Another
It was
Ed,
so
yeah.
crude.
Rocket Power.
Oh, of course,
yeah.
yeah, like Tito, yeah.
Yeah.
Woogity, whatever they did, yeah.
That was good quality television.
Yeah,
back
it
then.
was.
yeah.
Yeah, and they had great video games of that.
That was
stuff.
all trash.
Yeah.
All trash. All these kids in
They
the
just-
trash.
What these kids are watching.
They doing too much now. Like, bring it back to the basics.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
We're definitely going to have another conversation at some
Oh,
point.
yeah.
Absolutely, we need to.
You guys are going to be back on very soon.
Yeah, we get
Please,
the rest of the
yeah.
band. It'll be there'll
Oh,
be
yeah.
too much going on.
You only have half the band right now.
I
God
know,
forbid-
and I
yeah.
purposely do. I do that with bands anyway. Said, hey,
Yeah.
only give me 2 members, but especially with you guys, because I knew if I
Yep.
had the whole band in here, this would have gone.
This would have gone 17 hours, dude.
we wouldn't have got anything done.
Oh yeah.
It would have been a zero productivity episode.
Honestly, yeah.
Well, 7-Year Witch, episode 102 of the Scope podcast. I don't want to end it.
How
but
do I?
but good things must come to a close.
Unfortunately, that's so.
Yeah.
Can I honestly say, I was so glad to meet y'all.
We're glad to
Likewise,
meet you,
man.
brother.
This
Yes.
was awesome.
It was
Likewise,
a good old
dude.
time.
This has been awesome.
I hope y'all had fun. I know I did. And I cannot wait to just keep getting to know you guys,
Yeah.
stay in touch. I can't wait to see you live in April with the CEO at Great 37 Main Avondale Estates. I wish I could come to California and see y'all at the Whiskey A Go Go. That would be the coolest thing ever.
If you make the trip out there, we'll have a beer.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
I think
man.
we forgot to
That'd be
tell you are coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're actually going to bag you up and steal you from your newborn child and wife. And
Hey, I tell
force
my
you
wife
out there.
that'd probably be the only way she'd let me go. Is if y'all kidnapped
Hey, we'll take
me.
the blame. We're
Hey.
down.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to take one for the team. Correct?
Yeah,
Exactly.
please, yes.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Until next time, rock on, rock hard.
Heck yes.
Hell yeah.
Skadoosh.
Man, this is breaking my heart. I can't do it. I can't. All right. All right. Goodbye.